All right, all right. We are here. We're back. We're live.
That's right. We never
That's
left you.
right.
We
That's
never
right.
let you.
That's
We only
right.
come. We only come back and bring the mint shows. That's
Uh,
it.
Don't call it a comeback. We've been here
For years.
for years.
For years.
Absolutely.
Good to see you, Bob.
Good to see you
Um,
as well. As
bit,
well.
quite busy.
You
Just
survived the Black Blockchain Summit.
Black Blockchain Summit is in the books, fourth year, going strong.
Yeah, it's great.
Oldest Black Blockchain conference.
Hmm.
Still virtual for another year. Sinclair tried to make it back in DC. That didn't pan out too well during the current circumstances. But I saw a number of people did show up in DC area, and they took some pictures and they gathered together. In the spirit. We can't wait to get back to Howard University though, and then
Hmm.
really bring it full force. But we still got a lot of feedback from people DMing me, people connecting with me that I didn't know before. So a lot of people tuned in. In fact, I got a text from a childhood friend, Bruce, and I didn't have the number in my phone. And it's a common name. I'm not gonna say his last name, but it's Bruce. Fill in a common black name, Johnson, Smith, whatever, right? And so I was like, this couldn't be the childhood one. Who is this? And it's somebody I met at the conference. And then my mom got on the phone with her and she was like, no, it's the Bruce you know. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like tuned in and watched it. It was like, yeah, it was really good.
Hmm.
So, we're moving forward after this one. We're going to be bringing it, we're going to be at Crypto for the Culture, October 7th.
Hmm.
Um, it's some of the same people that were at Black Blockchain Summit, but definitely some new people because they're trying to mix it up, bring Asian, white, Black, Latinx, Caribbean, everybody together, LGBTQ plus in the same house, and get us talking to each other. That's put forth by Crypto Tutors, and so we're gonna have fun with that one. Hats off to Lisa and to Nina for really driving this home. And Eduardo, our guest for tonight,
That's
will be
right.
at the
That's right. We
conference.
got a heavy hitter sitting in the green room. Let's bring him out right now.
Once again, back is the incredible.
Eduardo
Let's
Jackson.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Thanks for having me.
That's right. So Eduardo's here. Eduardo is CEO and founder of CinemaDraft. CinemaDraft is one of the first properties I saw. Actually, Blacks in Bitcoin, his blog was the first thing I saw in 2016. And it wasn't long after that I stumbled across that he actually had a business property called CinemaDraft. And unbeknownst to Eduardo, because I don't think I've ever mentioned this to him before, I actually was a part of like the test group and went in even before I ever talked to him and was playing around when he had the web version of Cinema Draft game. So tonight we're going to learn about Cinema Draft, the game, as well as why it has a separate cryptocurrency and what makes that cryptocurrency special and why is this kind of different from like if a commercial property traditional tech company produces a game, how does that actually differ from what the blockchain and crypto communities are doing in these areas that sometimes you'll see words like GameFi or you'll see P to E, which is play to earn. You see different terms, and definitely most people have heard of NFTs. We're going to talk about some of these terms, but especially about Cinema Draft. So, Eduardo, just give us a little background information for those who don't know on how you ended up with from your background in with a double degree from the house, drama and English, Morehouse.
The house.
For those who don't know,
We're very proud.
and then found his way into Las Vegas, Nevada, and retired poker and writing scripts, novels. So how you ended up into actually into Bitcoin and how that move into understanding Bitcoin led to this Cinema Draft property.
Okay, well, I'll try to keep it the short version, but basically, in one of my previous lives, I was a full-time writer working on the fringes of Hollywood, and back in, must have been the mid early aughts, my managers and we had a game that we called Box Office Pimp, where you try to figure out the box office the weekend results, and then kind of had like a little league going on between us. So the kernel of the idea was installed way back then. Fast forward to the recession, lost my house, lost my car, had to move back in with my mom. Really sucked. So I was kind of already mentally prepped for Bitcoin because I read a bunch of books on the recession and everything, and why we were in the state we were at. Found out the whole the global banking system is very much rigged against the common person. So mentally, I was kind of ready for Bitcoin, even though I didn't know about it quite yet. Around 2010, I stumbled onto Max Kaiser's Hollywood Stock Exchange. I was very excited about that. Got really into it. Had like a little fake portfolio, was doing well, and then Blanche Lincoln, who's desperate for re-election in a blue dog state, ended up killing it as head of the CFTC. So there went that. But the kernel of the idea was way back then, back in 2010. And then flash forward a little bit further, I ended up doing professional poker for about 5 years, small stakes, mostly online, but I did move to Las Vegas. And so I got a lot of game theory experience with that, got into daily fantasy sports, saw that exploding. And then it kind of stirred up, well, why don't we have a movie version of this? So that's what really got me going in my gears around 2015 to really start fleshing it out. I teamed up with a friend of mine who's officially an advisor on the program, on the project, Anton Alfredes. He put me through my paces, like figure out the game mechanics. So he did Google spreadsheets for about 6 or 7 months, worked with that way. I got a one-time angel investment from a private investor in the UK that got us started, to build out like a working MVP. And so the pathway I thought we would have would be to build the MVP, which stands for a minimum viable product. So basically, just kind of crap out, a working model of your idea, and then use that as like a business card almost to venture capitalists to get investment. And at the time, I was aware that something like less than 1% of African-American founders get venture capital funding, but my idea was so good, somehow I'd find a way, right? So we had a working beta for about 11 months, gave out over $12,000 in prizes in a free-to-play game. Learned a lot, definitely refined the mechanics down the movie game, but we ran out of resources, ran out of money because no one funded us. So I kind of stumbled in the wilderness for a couple years, and then hooked up with my current CTO team, and we started rebuilding, the game and the site when the pandemic hit, and that's when we pivoted to what's DraftStream, which is going to be our first game coming out down the pipe, which was basically taking some of the same game mechanics from the CinemaDraft game, which was based off of movies and the weekend box office results, and then applying it to TV streaming. And so basically with DraftStream, and there's a nice cute little explainer video that we can probably stick in chat at some point, where basically you basically pick actors instead of picking athletes from teams, you're picking actors from movies and TV shows that are currently streaming, and then you earn points for your call sheet, or like your lineup or roster of stars, while competing against other people for fun and prizes. We will have free-to-play games where we will, pay you out, cash money, probably through PayPal or something. We will have free-to-play CD3D games, and that is CD3D is the in-house crypto token economy for the game. And then we'll also have CD3D paid games where you pay CD3D to win even more CD3D in what's called in the daily fantasy world GPPs, or guaranteed prize pool. So we'll be hosting a lot of eventually as the site scales up, big money CD3D, tournaments and games where people can, test their wits of how they think that their favorite shows will perform with the critical and audience ratings, which is now how we score the DraftStream game. And also one thing I'm very excited about with the introduction of CD3D, as you guys may have seen, some of the marketing we've just begun, is that we are building towards a 24-hour sale, one day only, from 12 p.m. GMT or UTC, Greenwich Mean Time, on October 7th through 12 p.m. the next day, October 8th. 24 hours only. We're doing something that's called a batch auction. It's like a crypto version of a Dutch auction where we put all of our tokens up for sale, or at least the 20 million allotment that we have for the ICO. People bid on it throughout the 24 hours. I think we have a cap of up to $200,000. It's going to be priced in BUSD, so it's a stable coin on the Binance Smart Chain. And basically, you bid what you think the token's worth. We do have a minimum floor of at least 1 cent per token. So, but if you think that will be a lot of heat behind it, then we encourage you to bid high. Make sure you get your tokens. And so this is how we're going to fund the rest of our development. We have about maybe another month and a half to go on the game development. We're also going to use the funds to help build out a decentralized exchange or a DEX token launch pad, so we can give other aspiring maybe hard luck, maybe even overlooked, underrepresented communities their opportunity to launch their own tokens in a self-service style. And so that's kind of the journey in a nutshell. Hopefully
you know what the beauty is of interviewing a fellow journalist? You know what the beauty is? I don't have to ask a single question.
He's
over.
ready.
Not too much.
But to back up a bit for people who may be just tuning in, those who are familiar with fantasy sports, fantasy football, fantasy. I first became acquainted with fantasy sports in the 90s. I had a coworker at a newspaper, believe it or not, who every Monday morning would take the newspapers, New York Times, because he wasn't buying the New York Times, and comb through. This is like 1995, 94, 95. And I would watch him like comb through like the sports and the stats. And I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, yo, I own the Yankees. And I was like, what? and he was like, something came out of college. He was like, I got my own Yankees team. I got the team name, but my players are not necessarily from the Yankees. So I have to go through all these sports stats for the Sunday Times that our company paid for and try to figure out, what that data tells me. So when I go back to my pool, I can see how much money I want. And I so didn't get it. But it was an introduction to, this kind of gamified world. Now, mind you, this is 95. This is, infantile, web. I don't even, what do we have? Alta Vista, maybe? I don't even remember what the surely didn't have Google.
Yeah,
Dogpile.
Me and my prodigy.
Exactly.
Yes.
Netscape browser was like the coolest thing at that point. Netscape Navigator, I guess. We had, movie, whatever. So, he wasn't doing anything digitally. We had email, of course, but he wasn't doing anything digitally. And he was just, doing this type of thing. So, you coming up with the application for this for films, for Hollywood, this idea of, okay, I'm a fan of watching the box office and seeing all the release or the streams now and seeing the streams and trying to make predictions on which will do well. But the predictions are not necessarily in the films. The predictions are, you choosing a leading actor, a co-star, and a day player, and there are rules and how many. You can't stack it all up with just completely all, the headliners. You can only have you have a budget.
Yeah.
You get this fictional budget, and you have to decide you're going to use all the budget, half the budget. But what are you going to look at? You're going to look at the foreign film releases. You're going to look at the American boxers. You're going to look at the streaming. Look, there's a lot of data going on. It is very fun to play, having been the kind of on the I guess the focus group, so to speak, more than once. Once when you didn't know I was there, and then the other time you did know I was there. It is
and honestly, we couldn't have gotten even this far without having great play. Shout out to the Marcus Graham's Secret of His Salmon group chat. I see y'all. Hope y'all are in the chat somewhere. They've been riding with me for about 4 years. They've been great. Every time I needed to throw a game together, I'd have a core group of people out there who would go ahead and test the game out for us. I mean, and yeah, people like winning money for free, but some people take it more serious than others. But it was really cool seeing the different layers of game theory at work and the strategy. Like some people took it seriously. They created an optimizer and stuff, and that's the type of stuff I like to see, because my whole and part of my pitch to investors, which I've now done over 10,000 times, no avail, was that we want to see ourselves as the DraftKings of Hollywood. Basically, DraftKings now, very much a public company, worth, several billions of dollars, whatever, and they do their product very well. So, that would be kind of like the goal for this company. And one of the questions they always ask you when you're doing a pitch to venture capitalists or whatever is, who do you see as your competition? And I remember freaking out briefly I was about maybe 4 months into my spreadsheet, journey back in 2015 or whatever. And I remember hearing that some company called some other company kind of came out right with their own thing. I drove off the road and I was sweating. I was like, oh no, yeah, how they stole my idea. And I was like, oh, this is gonna suck. And then I got home and I looked them up. I'm like, oh, we do something. But what would suck though is that I love the movies. I am very health conscious. I've been very responsible during the pandemic, so I've only been to a movie theater once in like the last almost 2 years. But before pre-pandemic, they were on the pre-show advertising of every other show, and it was really annoying. People would call me up like, "E, is that you? Is that you on the screen?" I'm like, no, that's them. So I was a little salty that they had all, they had money behind them. They had like I think they had ESPN's Matthew Berry. He's like a senior fantasy analyst over at ESPN. And so they had him and some other real money behind him. And so I was a little annoyed, but then when the pandemic hit, they shut down. And as far as I know, they haven't pivoted yet. And I definitely don't think they're in crypto. So I kind of have the space to myself for now, which is fine. I'm sure once we launch and we have a successful raise and maybe attract a few more eyeballs, we'll probably get some knockoffs, whatever. But as I like to think that I'm a bit of the secret weapon. This is a bit of a coalescence of all of my skills and interests. I've done Hollywood. I have several unproduced scripts. Some that were bought and paid for but never saw the light of day. I've done the game theory part. Professional poker player for 5 years on the low, and I had a brief stint running. Or trying to develop a burgeoning online poker site called Affinity Poker, RIP, as a manager. So I've got a little bit of that business side as well. And then also the marketing. When last straight job I had, I worked for another tech startup in downtown Vegas, black owned, black run, Pigeonly. And I was kind of like the second in command of marketing over there. So, I really so if I look a little tired, frazzled, because I've been a dead sprint and won't stop until between now and October 7th for when we launch this batch auction ICO.
Without further ado, since we're still on Draft Stream, before we get to the coin itself, let's run the Draft Stream explainer video.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do it.
2 minutes.
All right, hang on a second. And
do you love movies but never see anything you like? Overwhelmed by too many streaming services to choose from? Wouldn't it be fun to make money from your love of Hollywood entertainment?
Is it loud enough?
Their Draft Stream, presented by CinemaDraft. CinemaDraft is where fantasy sports meets the movies. With its Draft Stream game, instead of picking athletes from teams, you're picking actors from movies and TV shows currently streaming. You earn points for your call sheet or lineup of stars by how those actors' shows perform with critical and audience ratings, while competing against others for cash prizes. Playing is easy. You have a fantasy salary cap budget of $100,000. Each actor is assigned a dollar value salary. You must choose 10 actors, no more, no less, from the weekly talent pool of available content. Must have at least one headliner, co-star, and day player actor type on your call sheet. Headliners and co-stars have 40% and 20% bonus on day players. Highest scoring call sheet wins. Why play CinemaDraft? Discover fresh content to love both in and outside big budget Hollywood entertainment. CinemaDraft features CD3D, its own in-game crypto token economy. Collect upcoming celebrity NFT star cards that can earn you tokens based on game performance just for owning them. Enjoy free rolls for cash or CD3D DeFi cryptocurrency. Sign up for our beta, now in production, at cinemadraft.co. Stay informed about the game, the CD3D token, and how to play for free. You love Hollywood. Isn't it time Hollywood loved you back?
All right.
All right.
He makes
All
me
right.
smile. I love that accent.
Yeah.
That funky Irish accent.
Yeah.
Oh, I should try CinemaDraft.
Was that Irish or Scottish?
That was Irish. Yeah. Why try
Okay.
CinemaDraft, boyo?
Oh my goodness. Pick an accent. I thought it was Australian. Show you how much I was paying attention.
That's the other video. That's the other video. New Zealand. But yeah.
New Zealand. Okay. I was like, I knew it was a New Zealand accent. We'll get to that one in a minute. So tell me, you could have done this the traditional tech route and just have a gaming token. Why the direction of a CD3D to be a cryptocurrency, and then why on the Binance blockchain?
Ooh, okay, great question. So, okay, so I'll wind it back to picture it, summer 2018. We're in the middle of crypto winter and we barely know it. No one's making
You're
any
definitely a screenwriter.
Interior, struggling writer's room, daytime. Yeah, no, but seriously, I mean, we're in the midst of crypto winter. We don't really know it yet. We are. I mean, everything's kind of down. Ethereum is probably down to, I mean, so we're like maybe spring, like March. We hit our peak around Christmas time, and now it's kind of starting its long, year and a half decline for a while. And no one's really making money on anything. And I hear these rumblings of this thing called P3D, and Power of Weak Hands. But I forgot about it. I left it off. As a matter of fact, I heard about it from like Trevon James, and he's a bit of a huckster. So I'm like, yeah, whatever, right? It must be a scam. But then about a month later, about April 2018, for some reason, I finally decided to investigate, and it kind of blew my mind. Now, P3D did itself no favors because they openly mocked themselves as like a pyramid scheme. Like, all their iconography was pyramids, like an upside down pyramid, whatever. But it really was a really ingenious kind of, economics system where if there was actual ecosystem around it, would have been sustainable. But for the most part, it was kind of pyramidy. They didn't have any grand designs on making anything sustainable, like having products or games around it. But I thought it was really cool because what they did, as far as I know, they're the first ones to kind of do it, or at least they popularized this format, which now everybody uses. Was basically you would exchange Ethereum for their tokens, but on every transaction you'd be taxed 10%. 10% in, 10% out, 10% transferring it between other wallets, right? Everyone paid it like, nobody got off. And of that, and with that 10%, they took it and they would distribute the entire 10% tax as dividends to all the other holders. Today, this is what people have rebranded as reflection rewards, but P3D was the ones that really popularized it back in 2018, and that just blew my mind. Like I mean, I have an MBA. One of my best classes was econ, I think, and I just never heard anything like that. Where yes, everyone gets taxed, but everyone benefits, right? Unlike our system in this country. So I just thought, so I watched this rise, had a really meteoric rise. I wrote a couple articles about it for Black Enterprise Online, and I just was fascinated. So late summer, I was like, well, what if we did this, but for CinemaDraft? That draft stream wasn't born then. Like what we did is for CinemaDraft, so that's when CD3D kind of came about. Back then, it was on Ethereum, and Ethereum's price were starting to creep up a little bit. But I was looking, and as the idea kept developing, I kept looking for a place with like this cheapest fees. For a while, I wanted to do Stellar until my dev team told me for some reason we couldn't do Stellar. Then I was like, what about Tron? And Tron was interesting, but then Binance Smart Chain really seemed, just kind of exploded at the end of last year. And, Binance as an entity isn't going anywhere. The fees are super cheap and low. They use all the same Ethereum protocols. So if you're building it, as a programming language, you use the same Solidity language that you use for a lot of these, blockchain projects. So if you need to kind of eventually like cross bridge over to another blockchain or adapt it differently, you can do that. And I don't know, it just kind of made sense to me. So I kind of kept at it, doing more research, experimenting with it. And Binance Smart Chain kind of seemed to be where it's at. BSC does have a little bit of stigma sometimes. And, there are some, I call them the Ethifarians, the Ethistanis, the people who just, maybe they're on ETH's payroll. I don't know. But people who just really, really stand for ETH. Whereas, Ethereum is, I give Ethereum its credit, because they did popularize the smart contract, but these fees are out of control and they're not going to be getting any cheaper anytime soon. Whereas with the Binance Smart Chain, the fees, the fees are like typically 5 to 25 cents. To deploy a contract, might cost you, $10 or something, whereas on Ethereum, hundreds of dollars just to get approved to trade on Uniswap. I mean, what are we doing here? So I wanted to make sure that our game had no barriers to entry when it came to playing it as far as the transaction fees. So we've got low barrier to entries on the fees. And by pricing it initially in our token sale in BUSD, we want to kind of have like a stable coin floor using a low fee protocol. So that way, while if you price it in, if you peg it to Binance, whatever, Binance coin, Binance may go up or down $100 in a month, but BUSD is going to be stable and Binance isn't going anywhere. So hopefully that answers why, how I kind of came up with CD3 as a concept, basically just, having that kind of taxation system, and we kind of monkeyed around with it. We can get into the features a little bit later, but I really always like that idea of flat rate fee with every transaction, and it's kind of, spreading the love to everyone in the community.
Well, we have a question from the comment section, and I'm socially gonna butcher his name. Yabek Hecha. It's on the screen. It says, "Hi, sir. May I ask, the basis of this project is a GameFi movie. Can you explain more about the GameFi movie, mechanisms of obtaining utility token and utilization of those tokens? Thank you." But
okay, yeah, no, sure. So with this token, we use CD3D in a few ways. On the let's think of it as two sides. So there's the gaming side and there's the DEX, the decentralized exchange side. On the gaming side, once we get up and running, and we're we probably have another 45 to 60 days of development left in building it out. On the gaming side, you can use CD3D to enter games to win more CD3D. You use it to get discounts on merch and services, because as we scale up, we're gonna have a lot of different services for players. Like, I mean, imagine if you have 100,000, 200,000, 1 million people on the site. Games will get really competitive. It'll be kind of hard to break through and win sometimes. So we'll have special, almost like VIP areas for like a monthly subscription. You could pay to be kind of like an exclusive club, like smaller tournaments and better chance to win, and maybe better odds, maybe some extra bonuses, things like that. Merch, get you some nice CinemaDraft swag, you can get discounts on that to using, the US dollar. And basically it's going to be the kind of lifeblood economy of the gaming platform itself. On the DEX side, it's going to be the exchange token of choice, so that anytime a project wants to launch on CD3D.app, they're going to have to use a CD3D token to help launch. A good example of this would be like if you went to, say, PancakeSwap is very competitive. If you wanted to launch on PancakeSwap, you have to submit an application. You're probably not going to read it. Trust me, I tried. And then try to get, to get your token launched. If they do read it, then they'll let you in. They'll do a bunch of marketing and stuff. But then when people come to buy your token on launch day, you will exchange Binance coin or Cake or whatever it is for a liquidity pool token, which is basically like a voucher receipt, and then use that liquidity pool token to go buy the tokens and then get it back. And so basically how they're making money is that they're using their in-house token, which is Cake, to pair with whatever money you're putting in to give you a liquidity pool token. So it gives their token more utility. We're going to do something the same with CD3D. So you're going to come, let's say you want to launch your token on our site, whatever. You'll have to use CD3D to pair with whatever your token is, and you get LP tokens, so that every time someone buys into your project, we'll get utility of the token and also transaction fees, what have you. And so you'll have great utility both inside the game with playing the game to win more CD3D, and outside the game on the decentralized exchange to help people launch your token projects.
okay,
All
and
right.
Michael also has a question. How does CD3D look for long-term users?
Oh, great question. It's built for it. All I do with this token is to build it for long-term users. First of all, I've been at this for 5 years. We ain't going anywhere. Fully doxed. LinkedIn is everywhere. You can go to our team page, CinemaDraft.co/team, and look all of us up, whatever. We're not going anywhere. We've been in this for the long haul. And so everything I've done with this token, I've tried to aim it for longevity. First of all, of the 100 million token supply, we've got 20 million for the ICO. 20 million is for liquidity itself. And what we're going to do with the liquidity is we're not dumping it all out at once. We're actually portioning it out month by month. every 30 days after, we're going to have liquidity initially after the sale. And then after that, every 30 days, we're only going to release 500,000 tokens, 70% of which we're going to post on our own platform to get you to use our platform more. And we'll basically, sprinkle out liquidity on some other sites, but we're parceling it out so we can keep the token somewhat rare, keep the value and the buy pressure high on the token. I am not, anyone who's seen my handiwork or whatever in Black People in Cryptocurrency knows I am not a fan of these quadrillion token supply tokens. I am not. They're actually subjecting themselves to something called a liquidity trap. I did not come up with the term. I think it's a great term, but I definitely expounded on it in an article on my blacksandbitcoin.com site. And basically, they're a victim of their own success, especially when they provide auto liquidity. If you look into the tokenomics of CD3D, in the 10% transaction fee, we have 6% overall goes to dividends, 2.4% goes to burn, and 1.6% goes to buyback and burn. So instead of having auto liquidity, which is what SafeMoon does, which means every time there's a transaction, SafeMoon will take X amount of SafeMoon and X amount of Binance coin to create a liquidity pair, and they'll put it into like PancakeSwap or somewhere so that there's always tokens there for people to trade. Well, the issue is when you have a token supply that ridiculous, honestly, anything over 100 billion is suspect in my eyes. When you have a token supply that big, it's like mathematically impossible past a certain point for you to be profitable if you enter the token, because there's too much liquidity. Because every time someone's making a transaction, they're adding liquidity to the pool, which is already swamped with too many tokens. So we left all the crap out. Buy, none of that. So instead, we replaced what normally would have been, auto liquidity with buyback and burn, which is a feature I just learned about a couple months ago, which I think is really cool. Because basically, what happens is that for every transaction, buy, sell, or whatever, there's always going to be a buy right after. There's never going to be two repeated sells, because even if you're selling the token, part of the transaction fee is going out to buy part of the sale back into the contract, and then there's going to burn it. So it's kind of hyper deflationary. I mean, that 2.4% burn with each transaction, meaning that every time there's a transaction of that 10% overall fee, 2.4% overall gets destroyed, removed from token supply. So it kind of makes it look more scarce and more valuable. It's actually more like 4% burn, because we're buying it back and we're burning. And if that weren't enough, Michael, what reason why I think is going to be so such longevity, and I'm just talking about liquidity portion. There's like other parts of the token I haven't gotten to, but I'll leave for later because it's getting to be a long answer. What makes me really excited is that I was kicking it over with Shiva, our director of business development, on the best way to deploy the liquidity, right? I mean, what normally you would do with liquidity is you'd have your tokens, you'd have the base pair, in our case, BUSD, equal amounts of both. You'd stick it in a liquidity pool on PancakeSwap, whatever, let people trade against it. Well, we're going to do some of that on our site and on other sites as well. But what we're going to do with half of that, which I find really exciting, because this is all his idea. I give credit where credit is due. He's like, well, instead of just doing all that, let's just create more opportunities for farming. And think of farming as basically like a savings account. You take you want to earn more free CD3D. So you take, you go create liquidity on a site for us. You take BUSD, you take CD3D, you park it on PancakeSwap, or preferably on CD3D app. And you have a cache of CD3D tokens there waiting for you, just giving you free interest for you staking your tokens on our site. And so that's another way to give more rewards for people, to encourage long-term hodling. And it costs us very little, because we have 20 million reserved to do just very that. And in addition to that, what we're going to do is instead of spending all that money I was going to set aside as balancing liquidity, I'm just going to buy back tokens. We're going to buy them back. So if y'all selling, we're buying. So we're keeping that pressure up to keep the price high. And if that weren't enough, damn, the last thing I'll say on this, sorry to wear you out, I'm very excited about this. The last thing I'll say about this is that there's an extra 5% fee tacked on for people who sell. If you can go pick your coins to sell on CD3D.app, or PancakeSwap, or any number of exchanges that we're going to blacklist on there, it's going to cost you an extra 5%. So instead of 10% in, 10% out, it'll be 10% in, it'll be 15% out. And with that extra 5%, we spread out to all the long-term hodlers, because they got faith when you didn't. Not just kidding.
You're not kidding. You're not kidding.
I'm only serious.
Take your profits, but we're encouraging long-term holding.
Listen, Alan's been waiting patiently. Alan's question been on the screen for half an hour.
Right.
He wasn't there.
You got to trim your answers down a little bit. We got people lined up.
We got people in the queue.
Yeah.
Alan wants to know the
Talisha
thing
wants a T-shirt and she got a question.
That's right. We got people in the queue.
Yeah.
The thing
Well,
that
we do have merch. We do have a store section on the site somewhere. So yeah, actually, yeah, you go to the homepage.
Okay.
CinemaDraft.co.
Focus, Eduardo. We got to answer Alan's question. The thing that made me interested in CD3D is the Dutch auction. If I may ask, why did you think of using this type of launch?
Explain what a Dutch auction is for those who don't know.
100%. And we caught a glimpse of it during the video. No, we didn't. That's for a later video. We have another video.
We're gonna play that one later.
Yeah, we'll have another video which explains in graphic form how it works. But basically, the reason why I went with what's called a batch auction is it's a crypto version of a Dutch auction. And I don't know, I'm very excited about this because not very many people are doing it. Bounce.finance had it for a hot second. I wanted to test it out, but it disappeared. Made people didn't understand it. I don't know. But basically what you do with a Dutch auction is you have a certain amount of something you want to sell. In our case, it's CD3D. It's 20 million ICO tokens, right? And then you have a set period of time that you sell these tokens. For us, it's going to be 24 hours because we are very much a global brand. 32% of our Discord members are from Indonesia. So it's crazy, right? So what we're doing is we're offering 20 million tokens. Once again, minimum price each is going to be 1 cent, and we hope to sell all 20 million tokens within that 24-hour period. And what you do is that you submit your bid. You don't know what everyone else is bidding. Well, maybe you colluded some other people. I don't know, but generally you don't know what everyone else is bidding. So if you want to make sure you get part of the 20 million tokens, you bid what you think it's worth, maybe even slightly higher, because what happens is after the 24-hour period for us is done, the protocol takes all the bids, lines them up highest to lowest, and it sells in that order until all 20 million tokens are gone. So what reason why we're doing that is that it really does create one, we're creating a fair launch. No one's getting tokens before then, not even myself. And I just deployed we just deployed the contract a few hours ago. And I moved the tokens to all their appropriate spots, locked them up and everything. But no one has tokens until that time. So it's 100% fair launch. And two, under this model, not only it's extremely fair because then not only do you not know what the other people are bidding, but the market truly is determining the price. So now if you think CD3D is worth, I don't know, 50 cents a token, which is what we think is the estimated par value going into the auction is, then, and you bid 50 cents per token, okay, great. But if someone thinks it's worth $1 per token and the rest of the market thinks it's worth $1 per token and 20 million are sold at $1 per token, you'll never get to your 50 cent per token. Let me give you a scenario real quick.
Yeah, give me a scenario.
All right. Okay. So Deidre, you old cheap ass. No, just kidding. Deidre, you come in, you think CD3D is worth let's say using round numbers, let's say you think CD3D is worth $1 per token, which would be great for us, right? So you bid, X amount at, let's say you bid, you can't bid this much. You have actually a cap of 200,000. Let's say you bid 10 million at $1 per token, right? And Bob, he thinks CD3D is worth, $2 per token, and he bids 12 million for 12 million tokens, right? So now the first 12 million would go to Bob at $2 per token. Deidre would get the remaining 8 million, but then the rest of her order would not be filled. So another extreme example, let's say, in this, Bob and a group of investors, because we are very much anti-whale, and I'll get into that later. Bob and a group of investors think that CD3D is worth $1 each. They put up essentially $20 million worth of CD3D. But Deidre, cheap ass still, comes through with a 50-cent bid for, like, say, 1 million tokens. She doesn't get any tokens because all 20 million were bought by the group of investors that bid at a higher price. So what the protocol does is it takes all the bids at the end of the period of time, arranges them highest to lowest, and sells them in from highest down to lowest until all tokens are sold. So our only goal, honestly, is to sell all 20 million tokens, which will be a Herculean task in itself. But, hopefully we get more demand than there is supply, because then that will also create even more buy pressure after the sale is done with our limited 500,000 pool of tokens.
Is there going to be like are you going to release like a demo type thing to show people a mock-up of what the screens are going to look like?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that. We are working furiously behind the scenes. We're trying to get some stuff done by early next week so we can run a couple of mock auctions on the Binance Smart Chain testnet. So once those are available, I'll definitely let the community know. Definitely follow us in all of our social media. We're very active on Telegram, Discord, and our Twitter is pretty fire too. So, holla at us.
Let's while we're answering Talicia's question, Bob, get the CD3D video ready to go. But Talicia's question, is the token viable for minimal or non-game players?
Oh no, it's extremely viable. So we're already planning for 2 cohorts, investors and gamers. And oftentimes they will, combine, because most of the people in the Marcus Graham, Secret to his Salmon group, I see y'all. Some of our earliest adopters were both, gamers and crypto enthusiasts. But I mean, there'll be people who will never play, a single contest on CinemaDraft, and they will earn money from dividends, automatically compounded dividends, reflection rewards, aka they can earn it from trading it, holding it, price appreciation, whatever. But there's a lot of value in just even holding it or taking profits here and there on the token, because it has a whole value and ecosystem outside of the game. But then let's say you want to, double your money or whatever. Let's say you're good at this game, or you're excited about this game or whatever. It has value inside the game as well, because you can play the game to win even more CD3D. But there is a third piece, which, we haven't even touched on yet. It's something I'm very excited about. And I know Deidre remembers, maybe she remembers where she was, where I told her about this. But I was really trying to come up with the flywheel, basically like the Amazon Prime, the engine that would make this company go over a year ago. And I went on a walk and I came back with the idea for Star Cards, which is basically celebrity NFTs where based off of the actual game performance of the celebrities in that week's talent pool, because the talent pool will change week to week. You have new shows debuting every week, new movies coming out every week. And so as you're playing the game for CD3D normally, if you own, say Samuel L. Jackson, Hitman, Bodyguard's wife, whatever, it comes out, it does the numbers it does, he earns X amount of points in the CinemaDraft game, the draft stream game, then we're also going to convert those points as well into CD3D. So if you're holding his celebrity NFT card, you'll get revenue and income from the way his player performed in the CinemaDraft game. So not only will these NFTs be like collectibles and, I've got Sam, I've got Vivica, I've got, Hallie, whatever, they're also practical and organic to the functioning of the game, because there will be a whole secondary market for NFTs where, holding them, trading them, exchanging them. I mean, there's a whole sliver of transactional rewards that we've got set aside, 7% of dividends that goes towards fueling and funding the Star Cards and community rewards. So the whole thing's baked in together. You can make money in the game. You can make money out of the game. You make money just by holding it. You make money coming and going. It's going to be great. Thanks for the question, Felicia.
All right, so let's play
go to the videotape.
Exactly.
Hold on. All right.
CD3D.
CD3D.
Yeah, turn that volume up too.
Doesn't it suck when you buy some new token, but then the price suddenly goes down because it's pump and dumped? Wouldn't you love to invest in a DeFi token with product and real utility? Welcome to CD3D, where DeFi and gaming meet. CD3D is a Binance Smart Chain-based DeFi token that serves as the in-game economy for the upcoming CinemaDraft game platform. CinemaDraft is as if Hollywood and fantasy sports had a baby, the one that will take care of you instead of the other way around. CD3D has sound tokenomics, a limited supply of 100 million, 10% transaction fee with dividends, burn plus token buyback, and burn. Added dividends and airdrops to CinemaDraft gamers, daily staking rewards for hodlers over 30 days, plus a self-service, decentralized exchange launchpad for other gaming tokens. CD3D isn't your ordinary DeFi investment. Play with it, trade it, hold it for dividends, get paid to play, as well as for fun. So how can I get some CD3D, you may ask? Participate in our upcoming batch auction ICO, coming Q4 2021. A batch auction is just like a Dutch auction. 20 million CD3D tokens will be up for sale for 1 day only. Bid what you think CD3D is worth. After 24 hours, Orders will be filled highest price to lowest price until all tokens are sold. So don't be cheap, bid high. Go visit cd3d.app, sign up for more info, and don't miss the CD3D token sale. Time to turn your suck into luck.
All right.
There you have it.
Yeah,
with the friendly New Zealand accent.
Tell us. We have another question, and before we get to that question, let's talk about what you're offering people. You have a giveaway.
Yes, we have a giveaway tonight. I believe we are giving away. This might be one of our bigger giveaways, although small. We're giving away 100 CD3D to 5 random winners. We will be posting a link in chat that goes to a Google form. Fill that out, please. Please make sure you have your BEP20 address in there so that we can reward you properly. Now, because we are a fair launch, and I did warn you about this, no one's getting tokens ahead of time. No one, not even me. We're distributing promotional tokens on October 11th, which is 3 days after the end of the batch auction sale. So those winners, I promise, I swear we will get you your tokens. Just you'll have to wait till October 11th to get them, like everyone else who we've already pledged tokens to. We've had some really amazing airdrops that help build up a community pretty quickly, and everyone's patiently waiting. They understand the fact that we want to do a fair launch, so no one cuts the line. So you don't have to worry about VCs getting ahead of you or anything. Everyone has a chance to buy the token at the same time in a 24-hour period, October 7th to the 8th.
All right.
Yeah.
So we have another question, Rashid L.
Okay. Oh,
I'm just going to get it on the screen. All right. Rashid L wants to know, can you tell us more about the AntiWhale piece?
Yes, I would love to. So, and this is not, once again, I'm a writer by trade. I remember being told early that, best writers steal from the best, right? Steal from the best. So the AntiWhale isn't our original idea. I saw it on another token contract. I can't remember which one, Moonrat or Everrise or something like that. But anyways, so the concept behind the AntiWhale piece is that after the ICO, and so there's another reason why you need to get in on this ICO, because if you want to buy like huge chunks of CD3D, you won't be able to after the ICO, because we will be limited on each transaction to a maximum of 0.15% of the token supply. So basically no one can buy more than 150,000 CD3D after the ICO is done, because, we don't want, whales screwing things up. There's so many times, and that's another reason why we're doing a batch auction, because the way the batch auction works, at least technically, is that when you'd have a bunch of these, sales and even auctions, people would pay extra in gas fees to kind of cut the line. Well, it doesn't matter the batch auction, because you're going by average price per token, and it's arranging it highest to lowest. So that piece is totally taken out. So the AntiWhale eliminates people, or one huge whale or whatever dumping all at the same time. And even if they did, once again, the 10% fee, we've got the whole buyback and burn piece. So, it'll all be kind of mitigated somewhat. We'll have days where the token price will be down, and up or what have you. But, basically we don't want it so that one major player can just totally sink the contract with one transaction. So after the ICO, you're limited to 0.15%, both buying and selling.
Awesome.
I guess you thought about this a little bit.
Eduardo is probably the most well-versed tokenomics person that I've ever met, because I'll look at some things and I can piece apart, understand certain components, and then I can show it to him, and he can start saying, well, this property had it, this property had it, this property had it. I remember when we were going into CEDO for the first time, and I showed him CEDO, and then he had to remind me that it was proof of weekend
P3D knockoff. Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't have made the connection. I just was like looking for something that was in DeFi to kind of bring to the group, to tell them that there are other things. If you're a hodler, other than a hodler, there are other ways that kind of looking for a soft DeFi to enter into. But he saw it and took off running, because he was able to say, well, this PD3D, I told you I was already using it for CinemaDraft, and I was like, that's what you were talking
about? That's what we call market validation. even when the other guys came to market with theirs and they got bought out by national cinemedia and started putting on screens everywhere, I mean, it didn't lead me getting any money, but I would go into meetings with venture capitalists like, look, see, these guys, are doing what I'm doing. That's proof of market, that market validation right there. So yeah, 100%. Yeah, when I saw Cito, I got really excited because I knew what it was from jump. And I kind of led the bandwagon, YouTubing about it and stuff like that, because I get what it's trying to do. So, and it may have its up days and down days, but I mean, I love the protocol and we're doing something somewhat similar.
Yeah. So how do you convey this type of messaging in terms of understanding tokenomics to some of the people that are used to traditional gaming? Traditional gameplay, the commercial entity produces a little coin and you can cash it in for little swag or whatever that's in the little game store. I mean, a lot of them it's still not clicking. Like why this is kind of revolutionary. These games that are coming out, these GameFi and PDE. So how do you convey to the traditional gamer that this is something they should be looking at?
Well, I will say this, at least in my experience, and I do come from a poker background, and and we're all kind of, I mean, a lot of our early adopters are going to be poker players, anyways. Risk takers. They might already be exposed to crypto. I mean, they're already kind of on the edge of society, anyways, right? I mean, you play for money, but money's more a way to keep score. So it's not really like a huge leap to get poker playing, daily fantasy sports or DFS players, like that into crypto, because they're probably already there. Generally, though, the way we're approaching is we actually have some ideas on how to organically grow the community. As I scroll through my pitch deck a little bit, we'll have the referral system to kind of bring people along. One thing that's going to be cool about CD3D is that, and it probably won't be working by the time of launch. We'll probably have it up within the first month. Is we'll have a referral system that anyone who signs up under your link and buys CD3D from our site, now our site only, you'll get 33% of their dividends. And so that'll kind of incentivize people to kind of spread it around and also bring traffic to our site, not to PancakeSwap. PancakeSwap, y'all need all extra money. We need the money.
Are you trying to be listed on PancakeSwap? Because it sounds like you're not.
No,
I'm not be too thrilled.
Here's the thing about PancakeSwap is that they're self-serve. If you want to start a liquidity pool, you can start a liquidity pool. Yeah. They ain't gonna stop you. But as far as like doing like a big event with them, yeah, they don't want us. They don't want us. Also, as I look at my pitch deck, we're gonna have a lot of free roll contests to get people, familiar with the idea of cryptocurrency and CD3 specifically. So we'll have games, if not every day, every week, where you can, put in your call sheets, which is what we call our lineups of stars, put in your call sheets and compete or whatever. And maybe you'll win some, maybe you won't. But also we have a set aside of about 8 million tokens, I believe, called our community rewards, where basically we help community jackpot fund, there we go, where basically the most active players, not even the most winningest, but the most active players on the site who meet a minimum threshold will be eligible to win a quarterly jackpot of money from this fund. So every 90 days 500,000 tokens will be released from a locker and be distributed out to our most active players. So you can be a totally terrible CinemaDraft player, Red Ibis, and still shots fired.
I won $10 once.
You did. You did.
I think you had it that the last place finisher was 10. It was like you changed the order. It was like one of those things. People, if you play bingo, right? And there's many different ways to play bingo. There's the traditional way where it's horizontal, vertical, whatever, and then there's the ways to fill the whole board or whatever, just the outside rim. He had one of those things in the focus group that it was like, okay, the first place winner is always going to win, but I think it was like 5th place and then last place and. Yours truly. Last place.
Well, so there's a thing that we call the Lowball, and once again, not a terribly original idea, but the way we kind of use it is kind of interesting. So that you'll always have like first, second, third, whatever. You'll always have like the top tier winners. But what I thought was kind of cool is that if you have, say, a max in our alpha test over the last year, we would have and this is all like on Google Sheets. It's very clunky, but we would basically have top 3 places would get paid, but then also a specialty Lowball feature where people who had the lowest scores but had minimum, who had met like the requirements to have a certain type of call sheet, they also could win. So you have a decision to make. If you only had a maximum of 3 call sheets, in the contest, do you go all 3 for the top 3 prizes, or do you maybe siphon one off and go for the low ball? So it adds another little layer of game theory, which I always had fun with and could appreciate. I'd always do like 2 call sheets for the top and then 1 low ball call sheet or whatever, but it was fun. I mean, then basically you'd have a chance. So even if you're terrible at the game, you might have a chance to win the low ball, or if you're really good at the game, you could also try to scoop the low ball as well. So that's one of the kind of cool features we're going to build into our game.
The game was fun. I mean, I wasn't trying to get last place. I was really trying to get first place, and it was really good because, like, not for anything, Eduardo, you weren't getting first place most of the time either.
Whoa. Hold up.
Frequently, but not most of the time.
Hold up. First of all, you weren't around for the first iteration. Back in 2016, 2017, we had, so at first I was like one of the better players because, I created the game, right? But real quickly, and my man, Gamble 24x7, aka Jason Stern, if you're out there, if you're watching, you're listening, if you hear this later, shout out to you, because this dude was on fire. We had this one player who won almost $3,000 of the $12,000 we gave out over an 11-month period playing a free game because he was just that good. And I found out quickly that, 1, I am not the best player in my own game, and 2, I was excited to see people kind of lap me and beat me because they were doing some stuff that sometimes I didn't have the time to do because I was trying to run a company. But I found out one of the other players was really good. My poker buddy, Jason Green, aka Jaybird. Jaybird, he terrorized us in the very first spreadsheet test in 2015, and then early on with the MVP during 2016, 2017. He also took the game seriously because he actually built an optimizer, which is basically like fancy, like almost like you can put on an Excel spreadsheet, but he basically would optimize his results, what he expected the points would be, and he would put out these call sheets that just kept winning. And so I love to see that layer of kind of game theory and strategy, and people's like really in it to win it, right? Because you're going to have that once we go live. Once we go live and big, and we start attracting thousands of people to the site, you're going to have, we're actually going to develop an ancillary site, like a support site, kind of like what Roto Grinders is to the daily fantasy sports community. We're creating dailyfantasymovies.com, so a place where you can talk strategy, you can give optimizer tips, probably be some podcast stuff, basically an entire support system for the CinemaDraft ecosystem. So it's going to be a real robust, interesting community, and you better bring an A game, because I'm telling you, once you start getting 10,000 people on there, just doing the obvious play is not going to work. I promise you, because I would do the obvious play, and as Deidre let you know, I wouldn't win.
I would true the obvious, and you think you're losing your logic. You're like, okay, well, NetStream as a streaming service is way, in terms of numbers has this, and then dude will come out and win, and he picked like 2 foreign films in French and stuff, and I was like, what?
The Indian film, the Indian film would come out of nowhere and just scoop the pot. For real. So yeah, India, we see you, we love you, and Draft Stream will be here for you.
Yeah. It's just the stuff coming out of India, stuff coming out of France and stuff, but it's about looking at that data and knowing, like, look, this is where the demand is. This is where how many streams. But it's still fun to play because you feel like you feel like you're in control. I'm making this. These are my actors. These are my things. I'm gonna put it in. And unfortunately, your faves don't always pull through.
Real quick too, before we move on, another thing too that hopefully you guys will enjoy is that CinemaDraft employees will be able to play. We just can't win any money. So if we end up placing, anywhere, if we're in like third and there's second and fourth place money, third place money will just go to the fourth place person. I want to compete. I'm a competitor. That's how I got into poker and stuff. And so I want to play with all y'all. I just won't win any money. Trust me. And if we do this, if y'all help us out and get us funded right, I don't need to. We'll have a great time together. I just want to see how I compete with the best of the best. So bring your A game.
All right, so let's break this down. October 7th, 7 days from now, there's a 24-hour offering. First of all, the 24 hours starts when and what time zone and ends in what time zone?
All right, so it starts 12 p.m. GMT. So for me on the West Coast, that's essentially 5 a.m., which is basically my bedtime, anyways.
Okay.
And that I guess that would be 8 a.m. on Eastern time. And yeah, and so those go for a full day. That's when the protocol will start. Start submitting your bids. I mean, you can submit early, you can submit late. There's no penalty for either way, but one thing to look out for is that, and one thing we're working on, and hopefully we can get this done in time, is on the sale page, we're working on a cool feature where you can kind of see a graph of how many bids have been placed and how many tokens have been claimed. So basically you'll know that if we cross the 20 million mark, well, okay, my bid better be correct because I might not get my token if I bid too low. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, the more bids, the better, the more tokens claimed, the better. But I mean, if we start seeing like, 25, 30, 40 million tokens claimed, you better come correct with your bid because somebody's going to bid high.
So are we going to cinemadraft.com?
The .co. CinemaDraft.co is for the game site, and for the token site, it's CD3D. Yeah, no, it's CinemaDraft.co, and then for the overall company site, and for the token site, it's CD3D.app. CD3D.app.
Okay, all right.
Yes, two different websites.
These are kind of important details. We want to make sure people have.
Stick that in chat.
That's right.
All right.
That's the coin. CD3D.app is the coin, but the company website is CinemaDraft.co.
Forget the company website. On October 7th, you need to be going to CD3D.app and cap your coins.
Checks in the mail, Bob. Appreciate you.
Hey, we got to do this right.
What? Eduardo, thanks for coming on. We just want to, we don't want to miss anything. You were recently on BNC.
Oh, okay.
You know me.
BNC.tv.
BNC.tv. And coming up on October 7th, you and I both will be on Crypto for the Culture. You are definitely going to be on the gaming panel. Are you on the gaming panel?
I think I'm on Web 3.0, Web Entertainment 3.0.
Web Entertainment 3.0. And surprisingly enough, I'm on staking and DeFi.
Okay.
So it should be interesting.
Take good notes for me. Take good notes.
Host a nice host of lineup of people coming up. And Bob has something in the works too. I don't know if he wants to share what he's working on.
No, not yet.
No, not yet. All right. Bob's always got something in the works, and then when he's ready, he's gonna drop it on all of us. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks for the
is that it?
Well, it's an hour and 2 minutes.
An hour and 2 minutes.
I told people 2 hours. My bad. I mean,
if you got more, if you got something else you want to drop on us.
I would.
Getting the competition though,
maybe y'all got places to go. I don't know. My entire job in life is just to promote the hell out of this sucker so everyone can get involved in the project so we can build an awesome community. But I did want to.
Here's a pertinent question.
Please.
How do you know the SEC is not coming after you?
How does any of us know? Well, me personally, first of all, I pay my taxes. We're legit. I'm a Nevada incorporated company. Y'all can look us up. All that stuff's out there. My business is out in the street. All right. And let's talk to the SEC for a second because we didn't talk about crypto at all. If you want to do another hour on crypto in general, I'm here for it because I got thoughts. I'm here. All right. Which I did not get a chance to get in with on BNC TV because the hit was too short. But kids are over here tripping. This guy knows how blockchain works. He taught a class at MIT about this stuff. But the second this guy's gotten into some power, he is totally running it for the man. Ruining it for the man. It is nuts. So I get it. We're gonna need regulation. We do need regulation because it is definitely it's definitely unregulated. Kind of a lot of scams out there. And as one of the top admins in BPNC, an 18,000 person plus community, we see all manner of scam going trundle through, and it's nuts. And people getting their feelings too about the little shit coins, whatever. But we honestly, because we've been burned so much in the past, and if you've been investing in the space even half as long as I have, and I've been in this since Bitcoin May or April of 2013. I've made money, I've lost money. You're gonna lose some money in this space, partially because it's unregulated, but also because that's the price you pay to educate yourself. But man, let me tell you, while we do need some regulation, you don't need so much that it stifles innovation. This is like the internet of money, and everyone knows this is, and and the reason why I'm very passionate about this is that besides being open to it, when I finally did get my act together in 2013 and get into Bitcoin, because I'd heard about it the year before, but it sounded made up. I saw it on a TV show, but it sounded made up. When I finally got my act together in Bitcoin, it made sense to me because I had been a victim of the global recession. I had read, about half a dozen books on the collapse of the global financial system and saw how rigged it was, how all these guys gambled with our money, gambled my mom's pension from AT&T, lost half her pension in this bullshit and got bailed out 100 cents on the dollar. And that's why Bitcoin and thus cryptocurrency was created, was as a reaction to how the banks were manipulating stuff. And so I understand that these guys are late to the party and Gensler's trying to even the playing field for the big banks and stuff. That might even be his job. I don't know. But all I'm saying is that you cannot stifle innovation any more than you already have, because we've already seen a brain drain out of the United States to overseas. Anyone who's got something cool or innovative has left the country essentially, because it's just so onerous here. That's another reason why we're going at this with CD3D as a decentralized app, and the game itself will be mostly decentralized in itself, because once you push it out onto the blockchain, it's out of your control. I mean, there are rules it plays by, and it can only play by those rules. And after that, you don't really own it. It goes by, code is law. It goes by its rules. So I actually talked to a crypto lawyer over in Seattle about, I broke down the idea of CD3D to him and how it worked. And he took a very long pause. This is his business. He hadn't heard anything like this for some reason at that time. And he's like, this is legal. And I'm like, okay, enough for me.
That's what you wanted to hear, right?
That's what I wanted to hear, right? So, I mean, they will change the rules because they love doing that once we get any little bit of power or come up or whatever. But by that point, the token will be out there. The thing will be out there. I remember one time someone came at was it Ryan Adams or one of the guys behind Uniswap was like, yeah, they're gonna regulate you, they're gonna shut you down, and he's like, how? I mean, the only way you can stop people from investing in or from trading on Uniswap is, I guess I could tell them to stop trading, please. But there's nothing you can do to stop them because it's a decentralized app. So that's one of the things I love about this space, is that for all the no's I got in venture capital, for literally 10 to 15,000 people or places or applications sent out that all told me no, I will finally let the market decide, one, if I have a viable idea enough and if they support it enough, and two, what that price will be. And instead of waiting for someone to gift me money and then, kind of turn my life inside out, trying to squeeze out an exit in 5 to 7 years, we can all make profit in about a day and build something really cool that will last for as long as the internet lasts.
Yeah. Someone at Cormac and Cap was kind of irate today. They had, was doing these one-line tweets, and one of the line tweets was, decentralization is inevitable! Exclamation point! Somebody's upset.
Decentralize all the things. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm glad for us to just be having this conversation. It's great to see you pulling this thing out of the garage after you've been tinkering with it. But this is the reason why Black People in Cryptocurrency was formed. It wasn't just to tell people about a way to invest or trade, but how can we figure out ways that we can create our own systems, our own platforms, our own economies that are decentralized and therefore have an opportunity to compete on their merits on an even playing field. And we appreciate the work that you've done, not only in the choices that you've made, because when you lay out the choices, it's like, I hear the integrity behind all the choices. It's like, yeah, I see you with Binance. They're stable. They're, if you're going to use a stable coin, it should actually be stable. I mean, it's a simple concept, but for some reason, people are still like, tethering themselves to something that I think is kind of.
Yes, at least we know where the money's at. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. So, great work.
You mentioned there that some of the innovations are occurring overseas that aren't happening in the United States. What have you seen that reflects this kind of brain drain of people producing overseas versus within the United States?
Well, a lot of ICOs, a lot of decentralized exchanges, what have you. I guess the biggest one that also got taken down big time as well was BitMEX. They were one of the first ones out there offering, I mean, high risk, but so is the derivatives market. Basically, crypto derivatives and a whole derivatives market, whereas everyone else, up until then was just like trading 1-for-1 on Coinbase, stuff like that. And I mean, I'm not that big into the financial world. I mean, I listen to Fast Money and stuff like that. But I mean, and there are like rationales in the non-crypto world for derivatives and what have you and stuff like that. I won't even get into that type of stuff. But I thought it was very interesting that the founder of it, Arthur Hayes, black man, mind you, left the country. Gave up his renounced his citizenship, went over to Singapore, and just built like I think what they have like $1 billion, or was it a trillion? And they had a lot of money in revenues in a year that was just like unheard of at the time. And just because everyone was on BitMEX, I remember first time I heard about it was like following crypto Twitter. Double Up Barbie, you probably may never see this, but Double Up Barbie on Twitter was talking about how she was doing this on her BitMEX, and how she was leveraged this, leveraged that. And I was like, whoa. And that kind of innovation wasn't happening here because especially at that time, 2015, 2016, there's still real concern that, Bitcoin might go to zero, whatever. Ethereum was just getting its legs under it. I think Ethereum started at like 15 cents per coin or something. So it was still a very nascent space. And honestly, if you ask me, we're still in a very nascent space. My favorite line I like to say is that we have a once in a generation chance to build generational wealth. And we are in like the bottom of the first inning of a very long game. Everything that requires a third party or intermediary is going to be, changed by the blockchain. Yeah. I firmly believe this. There's $350 trillion out there globally in currency, assets, and real estate. All that's going to be on a blockchain. All of it. So it's when people ask me if it's too late to get into Bitcoin or to buy crypto, whatever. No, it's early. It's too early. So I think that you're going to see, like SoRare, for example, I think they're based out of Malta. That didn't happen here. And SoRare, once again, is market validation. They have a somewhat similar type of game, but they're based mostly on like soccer, European soccer leagues, whatever. I'm not exactly familiar with how they do their scoring, whatever, but they basically have made NFTs out of players and have aligned themselves with a lot of leagues and teams and stuff.
So rare. Some of the better gaming properties are really not talked about. SoRare was long before NBA Top Shot, and the graphics are off the chain. It's color coded, so they released basically the whole thing about being so rare. So depending on the color of the card, there's limited edition. So you have red cards, you have brown cards, you have kind of goldish cards. And so depending on which color you get, some of them are rarer than others. And it's definitely, the fantasy sports that was very well thought out. And as you were about to say, they just received
$680 million led by SoftBank, which, has recovered from their WeWork stumble and is still tons of cash to people. Yeah. And like I said, I applied everywhere. I applied to SoftBank. Too small for them. They didn't want to give me $300,000. They looking to give someone $300 million. Right. So, but Deidre, can you talk some about, because I'm gonna clear the paint for you on this one, because you pull my coat to this. A feature we will have currently on the roadmap, maybe about 9 months out, as part of our star cards, a feature that has been kind of popularized in the Philippines called play to earn. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. The play to earn scenario, Axie Infinity is like basically tops in the play to earn scenario. And unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a former designer of mine. He went on and was actually doing development work because he was much of a graphic artist as he was a programmer. So he was working for another company. But every once in a while, I would be in his DMs, asking about stuff. And Axie Infinity is really big in the Philippines. So you have this game in which you buy these NFT characters that battle. But you got to design the characters, you design the features and raise them and all this kind of stuff, and you can breed them. So it's in Chad. I'm going to mention his name, Chad Alvarez, because he passed away from COVID, as a matter of fact. So I was talking to him, and then he really gave me the rundown of why, it took off in the Philippines, because, there was so much work that's not being done, and Philippine culture, especially younger generation, likes games a lot. And so this opportunity of being able to play a game of an NFT that someone else actually owns is basically the loophole that had took Axie Infinity to skyrocket. So you have Beryl Lee, who many people don't know who she is, but she big person in the blockchain space. There's photos of her sitting with Vitalik Buterin and all this kind of stuff. So people don't really know who she is, but she created this guild that sits as an intermediary. So basically, the guild, if people want to buy these Axie Infinity NFTs, which I think are like $500 a pop or something like that by now, it may be more than that, just for one. So if you're buying them, that's US dollars. So you're buying them, but you don't necessarily play the game. And in order to play the game, you got to win the game. So you want to go through the guild to try to get some players to play for you, and then you have a revenue split. So people really earning the income by playing these games. And in many ways, CinemaDraft is not that type of play to E, but it's still a play to E.
Oh no, we will be. No, Deidre. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if this is breaking news. I mean, I think we kind of buried it in our white paper somewhere. But one of our plans is, and I got this idea from you. She sent me that article, and thank you. Once we get Star Cards established and people, get used to like what it is, we want to have a similar kind of play to earn section, so where a player can actually own a Star Card for free. Not give up any CD3D for it, and they'll just basically go into like a revenue share with us. Maybe it'll be something like 60-40 us or whatever. But basically, you'll be able to own certain Star Cards for free, see how they perform and how much CD3D they earn on their own. And instead of getting the whole bit, you'll pay the house a little bit, but you get to own it for free, and that might really bring in. Actually, I know that would be a really attractive way to draw in some new players, people, from lower income countries. Like I said, we're really big in Indonesia. We did an airdrop bot where 10,000 person maximum, we had like 18,000 people in like 18 hours. But there are whole like squads of people around the world, especially in Asia, where the cost of living is so low that even a $25 airdrop, or even if you're winning $30-40 a week or a month in CD3D, enhances your life. It means something. So I'm really excited to get that portion of the program going too. But first we got to introduce the game and Star Cards, and then we'll show you how to play to earn for free.
Yeah, I definitely want to say rest in peace to Chad Alvarez, because I literally had the conversation with him, and then about a week after we had that conversation, he was like, I'm kind of in the hospital, I'm not feeling well. And then he passed a couple of days later. But wow. He really dropped he was a good person that I could always like check in on. And because as soon as I found out that was going on in the Philippines, I was like, I'm talking to one person I know in the Philippines. Chad, he was like, let me tell you. And he would just run it down. This is what's going on. This is why people are excited. This is how it works. These are the risks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, a lot of the innovation out of blockchain is coming out of Singapore, coming out of Asia, and then eventually gets to the US. And unfortunately, my opinion is that by the time it gets to US, it gets watered down in the VC marketing version. Which is not, this is how we got introduced to NFTs. I mean, to this day, people think of NFTs and they only think of the SNL skit. They think it's for art and for music, or whatever. And those
money laundering for rich people.
Exactly. As opposed to, with the developer sense of NFTs, when the first time I heard about NFTs was really talking about, identification cards and the ability to be able to put for the individual to put many different payment systems, so that they could use one thing, and they could pull from one account to pay for transportation, to pull from another account to pay for a bill, pull from another, and they just have this one QR code. It was more kind of like a corporate identity government type sense use, or real estate, identifying property and transfer property and stuff like that. It was more like that. And then it was like, okay, then you got your crypto kitties, but crypto kitties, remind you, is still a game.
Yeah.
So somehow or another, the gamification use of NFTs has been buried under the very simplistic marketing pitch. And the simplest market pitch was like, how do we get people excited about NFTs? Just tell them you can sell art and you can sell music, which is too simple for what it is. It's a bundle smart contract is what it is. This is limited supply bundle smart contract.
Well, I mean, I think the whole thing is that it's all about the smart contract, but you need a concept. The smart contract is such a Swiss Army knife that people can't get their heads around all the things you can do with it. So it's important for us to understand that, like Eduardo said, we're in the top half of the first inning. We haven't figured out all the ways that smart contracts can be used. NFT is one that all of a sudden got hot in the last 6 months, and now there's a whole lot of demand for it because people who are non-technical people are seeing use cases, and particularly in music and art, places where creators have always gotten the short end of the stick in terms of how monies are distributed, all of a sudden now have a way to have a decentralized way to control the economics around their own art. And we're going to see this. I think it's going to smash the music industry. I think ASCAP and BMI are on borrowed time right now, because why do you need why do you need a performing rights organization to figure out where the money goes? We got a smart contract, and the money can get distributed today, not 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years later.
And when there's resales or anything, I mean, it gets turned. I mean, it finds its way back to its ownership. I mean, that's 100%.
Yeah, but we got to get into the production aspect. I mean, just recently, I saw even within group, and I don't necessarily comment on everything, but I did comment on his Twitter. You're seeing, Snoop Dogg drops bragging about owning 17 million worth of NFTs, but I'm like, 17 million, you could have put a platform and people could have been buying off you. I mean, we got to get into the production end. So I literally left the comment under his Twitter account because he was like, this is game, and he had some sparkly NFT, but we got to get away from the consumerism. We got to get away from bragging about what you bought that somebody else created and on somebody else's platform.
Well,
have your own platform.
A platform, yeah. Well, a platform, you can pretty much live forever. That's another reason why we wanted to do a decentralized exchange, a DEX, for launching CD3D. Because you're right. We could have just done like a Farmville type token that's just one little community, whatever. It's just a gated community where you just use it within that community, whatever, and that would have been okay. But I mean, with the DEX, you can interact with the broader world of crypto, and as a platform for other tokens launching on your site. I mean, the money, you do it right, keep up your promotion, you give a good product, you keep innovating and iterating on it. The money should never end. Pancake Swap, they do billions of dollars a day in volume, and they take a bit, and we have no idea who they are. They're an anonymous team, even that big, but wow. They will never go hungry again. So that's one reason to have a platform. But I wanted to jump in and tell you, or want to talk about the as far as NFTs go. Remember the headlines, that guy who spent $69 million, beat out Justin's son, his crazy tale, out for that, like the most expensive NFT ever at the time. Remember that guy? So what he did with that, because we were kind of like, well, why did you spend that much money on one NFT? It seemed crazy, right? What he did was he fractionalized it. He turned his thing into derivatives. So basically, he was like, all right, I got this thing, I paid $69 million for, right? I'm gonna create a token, where it's basically getting shares of ownership of this, this NFT, and basically, if you own X amount of this token, you own X amount of my NFT. And he done flipped that into like, I think 300 or 400 million like overnight once he released it. It was nuts. Fractionalizing ownership of not only just art, but anything. That's some wild stuff right there that people really should look into. Like, think of the things. It's kind of like what Spencer Dinwiddie tried to do a little bit with his contract. He wanted to basically wanted to put his contract on a blockchain, essentially, where people can invest into his contract. And then when he would get paid, he would, pay them in his own personal token. Early. Yeah, but the NBA kind of shut that down. I'm not exactly sure where it's at right now, but it was a little too avant-garde for them. But I love the idea of fractionalized. Anything where you can source the wisdom of the crowds, or let the market decide your worth, whatever, is interesting to me. Like you hear these things about like, oh, I've heard the story about like there are these young grads out there who don't want to go to college, don't see the value in it or whatever, or they've got such a bright future coming out of college that they're selling almost like futures on their salary.
Right.
That's kind of smart. That's kind of, I mean, if you're willing to forego a percentage of your salary to get money now, I mean, that should be your right. I mean, there should be a service for that, a platform for that.
That sounds like a payday loan on steroids.
Oh man.
I mean, it is kind of Wild West because for every good use, somebody comes up with a scam. So it requires more due diligence, more accountability. But that's why we also try to share our knowledge together so that people don't get caught up. You don't step on the landmines or get your foot underneath a rug that's going to pull out from under you, which is what we've seen a lot of that.
And so many people want to get on that landmine and get that rug.
Yeah, I mean, they're begging, please.
I understand it. I mean, that's another thing too. Like, so there are a lot of, and I'll say this real quick. There are a lot of coins and tokens out there. You can't follow all of them. You can't track all of them. You can't catch every wave. So there's some that I just missed. I admit I missed. I missed on Solana, although I still might get into it. I totally missed on Cardano. I'm okay with that. It's got other issues. Get a product first. How about that? But if there's any kind of token or coin, whatever, that explodes that you may have missed on, whatever, don't worry. There's another great idea coming around the corner. You don't have to go for the sketchy one with not all anonymous teams are bad per se, but you can do other ways to look at for proof of a project's viability, from the white paper to social proof to the use case it has. I mean, and also another pet peeve of mine, there are a lot of Black folk in crypto and around the globe, and not all projects are great just because they're Black. All right, being Black is not good enough. All right, I'm not going around touting CinemaDraft as the best Black Hollywood coin or anything like that. And if I did, there wouldn't necessarily be anything wrong with that, as long as I was solving a problem or something, as long as I'm providing a service, what have you. But just because just Black isn't enough a use case either. Just don't be so excited or willing to go into a project that either doesn't have sound tokenomics, doesn't have a sound use case. I mean, the teams, sometimes I've seen, bad teams luck up. Look at the SafeMoon guys. They suck, but they've made their money early, right? But I mean, just look at all the factors and make, and do your own research and just make wise choices. And also don't get in your feelings if someone disagrees with you. I mean, they may be right, they may be wrong, but we're not always going to be right forever. I promise you. We're, especially in our group, all we're trying to do is look out for you. All we're trying to do is look out for the average investor, the new to crypto investor, and even the seasoned investor. I mean, you will have people with, in our group with a great wide range of experience, but any project that we either support through ABOB or take a look at and ask questions of, I mean, we're going to bring some hard questions like, what is it good for? What is it good for?
Yeah, I mean, people know better. We're talking about a lot of people in this group. They're not young. No. So let's be real. Some people in the group, they're playing. They play company. They're showboating. I got millions. Follow me, and I'll help you. And you got to. We're old enough now to recognize some of that stuff. You let them post and whatever, throw something, but no one gets offended at critical questions who has legitimate products.
True.
We all, those of us who have got a certain number of education, you've been in front of a teacher, a hard teacher, whether it was in high school or whether you were defending your thesis statement, you got to defend your stuff from criticism. So people who go off the rails of a little question, oh, that's why crabs in the barrel, I know they fake. Because you get into a certain age, you're expecting that. You're expecting, if I know my stuff and you're questioning me, and well, what about this? And what is, I know how to defend. I should be used to the questions. I should know the questions. What if I don't know the questions? Be like, you know what? You brought up a good point, Eduardo. I don't have an answer for that, but I guess I need to think about. You come on, interviews, job interviews.
Yeah. So
whenever I'm in a group and I start stuff and the person starts deflecting, that's why I go hard on people who start deflecting, because I know you fake, and I'm calling you out. Because you shouldn't. You should have an answer for that. And some people I just don't even bother anymore. I was like, oh, they go, because Eduardo be DMing me about something. I was like, yeah, I saw that. I just kept scrolling. I kept scrolling. Let somebody else come in. Let Talisha come in. Let somebody else speak. And you know what I'm gonna say. I'll just, as she would chime in. So, I don't really worry about that. People within we're talking about, within our family, within our community, they're doing stuff like that. I mean, some of these people have been in this game for like 20 years. They ain't been doing that for 20 years. So 20, 30 years. And I'm not talking about blockchain. I'm talking about like beyond blockchain.
Well, it's the marketers. They're people who, it doesn't matter what it is. It's like, okay, if it's got a sexy story, we can market it. And so those people usually don't really care about, does it actually work? They want something where they can tell a good story, get people excited, and get some sort of conversion and some sort of engagement on it. And we've seen it time and time again. You think about the BitConnects and the Carrot Goals and all those, and they're all just like the MLM scams. They're the same people, and they use the same tactics. Somebody shows up, and they've got a video and they've got the Lamborghini, and and it's all about look at the cash on the table.
That's been going on since what? Tommy Vu, late night TV. Mm-hmm. I'm Tommy Vu. Look at my beautiful boat. Look at my beautiful women. I mean, this has been going on as long as as time is right. Immortal. And
right.
and let me speak to something about the marketing in this whole space just a little bit, because when like I mentioned earlier, like when my last straight job was in marketing, I'd have a bit of a marketing background. Yeah, when you're a solo writer on a major publisher, you're not gonna you have to market yourself. Unless you're John Grisham, they ain't looking for you, right? So I love marketing. Marketing is interesting to me because basically, playing upon human motivation and there's psychology involved, and sometimes they actually give you something that you need. But the marketing in this space, it's almost all marketing, and it's just fascinating to me because you see, like you said, you see the MLMs come through, barely repackaged. Some of them don't even try half that hard. Somehow get a lot of people falling for it. And I mean, and you can see the lineage too sometimes from the 80s of Amway and Tupperware parties, and it's kind of the progression of it now is just into crypto. And you try to tell some people and they don't want to listen. They think you're hating on their idea. Oh, don't hate on how I invest, whatever. I'm like, all right, lose your money, do you, but we just trying to do this in a very safe manner and still have fun, because crypto is fun. I love this stuff. And I just find it fascinating when you have like a token comes out of nowhere, and most of these tokens come out of nowhere. And I have deliberately saved until the last 2.5-3 weeks before our launch to do the marketing for CD3D, because let me tell you, first of all, when I went to some marketing agencies I'm working with about like, yeah, just wait, last 2 weeks, you'll be fine. Do this, you'll be fine. I'm like, okay. But it's kind of true because, this whole space is very ADD, and they're always out for the next hot thing. There's a whole community called Crypto Moonshots where all they do is go back and forth about what's the next 10x, 50x, 100x, shitcoin they can just jump in and jump out of, whatever. To the point where they even told, I can't remember the project, but some project, exit scam people, some people got out of the top, some people got wrecked. And they said, yeah, these guys are actually part of a group who have $250 million worth of BNB, and they just go around creating the next shitcoin, the next shitcoin, the next shitcoin.
Oh yeah.
Coordinator
there. Dave Chappelle did a skit. Wasn't a skit. Was when he was telling people not to watch, the old show because he didn't have his rights to the Comedy Central show. But he did this whole thing that was serious, but it was also comical, where he talked about the 3-card Monty and how he got scammed at a 3-card Monty table. And then after he got scammed, he watched all around. He realized the whole crowd around that was hooping and hollering, they're all in on it. So there's nothing different than what we're seeing even within our groups and stuff like that. When Safe Moon came, when Safe Moon came, and I looked.
That's a whole other hour.
They had
an hour on that.
They had the first John Karani, or whatever his name is, the CEO had the first AMA, and I didn't go to the AMA, but I saw the clips. And he's reading from his phone like a child, not even you can't even memorize your own script, but reading like a child. This is what this is, and then with so he's reading about what Safe Moon is about. That was a red flag for me. That was a soccer red flag. It wasn't even yellow flag. It was a red flag.
Red card. Yeah.
And so I go to LinkedIn, and then I see, he worked for DARPA, and then he's leading a tech company. So now, I'm sorry, putting people on blast. Anybody who in my group that all of a sudden, from 2017 to 2019, going into 2020, you're all, stay away from scam coins, stay away from this. And then all of a sudden you flip to be a Safe Moon cheerleader. I'm like, 3-card money.
Mm-hmm.
You're benefiting because no one flips like that. I was like, I know we're looking at the same clown. I know he's reading from the thing. I know they came out of nowhere and they had all this money. I want to know where my tax dollars is going. I want to know where the SEC is investigating itself because I want to know. I want to know how they have billboards and all this stuff and all this marketing. I mean, they're beautiful logos. I like that teal. As a Delta, I'm not a big teal fan, but I actually liked their logo, their branding, and all that kind of stuff. But they came out like an army. And everybody that used to have some sense who went Safe Moon fanatic black in our group, I was like, oh, Dag, you did go to school at ROTC, didn't you?
Oh boy, here comes
so we got the VC BS on one end.
Conspiracy D in the house.
We got the VC bullshit on one end, and then we got the army bullshit on the other.
D, we're gonna pull you back because we don't want the black van showing up at your house. So
let's throw it out there.
Pay no attention. None of this.
But you bring up a great point though about the marketing. They came out with like millions of dollars in marketing. Millions and trust me, we don't have anywhere near that for CD3D, but even the little that we have, I mean, deployed correctly is going a long way. And the reason why I do like marketing and find the marketing space fascinating is that well, first of all, you can't sell a secret. So we actually have the goods. We have the product. That's one of our selling points that we've been working on this for 5 years. We working on the game mechanics for the last 2 or 3. We're not going anywhere. We're not here to pump and dump. But it's fascinating to me is that you can get some of these tokens like Ethereum Max out of nowhere, billions of dollars, people just plowing money into it because they had millions of dollars of marketing, didn't have a white paper, ends up on Floyd Mayweather's trunks within 3 weeks of its inception. Must have cost him at least $30 million to get on his trunks. I mean, while I respect Conspiracy D and I definitely am more aware thanks to her, I can't say I know for certain, like she may know more than I do, but I'm definitely, I mean, you kind of have to wonder not only where does the money come from, but like what, who's
can't blame the VCs for everything.
No. I mean,
there's other hands at play with our tax dollars.
And actually, glad you brought up the VCs too, because VCs, it's because, I mean, obviously I'm biased against them because they've told me no, 12,000 times, whatever. But what's interesting to me about the VCs, and this kind of came up even with a Black Run fund I recently had a interview with, where the metrics they look at for development have worked. They're probably tried and true for traditional venture capital investment, but a lot of the things they look for just don't play in the crypto space. Crypto moves too quick. Crypto has like different rules, and yes, it is unregulated. Maybe regulation will catch up to it in a few years, but right now, the stuff that sells, that works, they're looking at different stuff than the traditional metrics that venture capitalists use to evaluate projects. And I think that's definitely what kind of hurt me. I would say wasted. I definitely spent 2 or 3 years making the rounds and got a lot of good feedback and polished my deck, et cetera. But it got to the point where like I decided I was only going to pitch crypto VCs because they know how the space moves. This whole thing with these BEP20 Binance coins and the Safe Moon knockoffs like that. And to be honest with you, ours uses Safe Moon as a base plate because it's been audited by CertiK. There are certain protocols we don't have to overly double check too hard on. All these Safe Moon knockoffs, whatever. It's just, to me, it's just interesting how so much marketing has achieved, so much money for so few people, and how if you market your product well, whether you actually have a product or a use case or not, it can take off. And I'm just hoping to bring a little bit of marketing, a whole lot of utility into one beautiful project.
Yeah, the accelerator model has to come back. I mean, we don't need the type of models that were like, oh, apply for this boot camp, and I think that eventually should just die away. Shark Tank-esque type things is wasting a lot of people's time. It's wasting Americans' time in terms of building innovation into this competition thing. So I think that model needs to die. But this idea of what came out of Singapore, and the reason why Singapore has leapt ahead, this idea of actually truly investing and providing a support system to young founders and filling in the gaps where they need the gaps. This idea that the CEO is supposed to be some type of wonderkin for show and tell, which is what Shark Tank is. It needs to die quickly because it's killing our country. We're not actually producing the best in crypto. We're not necessarily producing the best in tech because there's too many games being played. There's a lot of money being thrown around at nonsense and not a real cultivation. And then the founders are being blamed. So, the people who have the money was like, well, let me tell you about they love to tell Black people about our deficits and stuff like that, Yeah, but they do it to their own first. I always say to people, I say, the people who are the most discriminatory they first have practice within their own group. So they do it to their own. You're not at the Stanfords, you're not at the Berkeleys or whatever. You went to the University of Arizona. You can't get them in our funding circle. So they're eliminating out of their own funding circle some really cool projects. I think it's no secret that I like Dash a whole lot. I've always liked Dash or whatever. But they're not in that particular group. They're coming out of Arizona. They're not that stuff. But the stuff that they produce very slowly, but they produce. So, and I don't know where Litecoin is now. Litecoin has had its ups and downs and stuff like that. But they still produce. But you don't hear about this because the VC world is 100% in Ethereum at least, and a small smidgen is still in Bitcoin. So there's a celebratory, and then you have this. You watch these gangs, of commentary on social media, and they're just going, oh yeah, the altcoins and this and the Dash and the Monero and stuff. But these are really good projects. You could tell that these are ex-Bitcoin Core people that learn to develop and decide to go in a different direction. Even within our community, we have Wive. I mean, in terms of the best blockchain, pure blockchain coin protocol. I mean, Wive is it. I mean, he's going from scratch, proof of work with a conscious effort to look at, green energy and conscious solution to, poverty within Africa using, a solar powered type economics and grid. So we need to really look at, different models. And one reason why I say it's smoke and mirrors, we had Ashish Gadnis on of Bank U. And we did she's getting Bank U is you didn't watch that. Oh, you're terrible.
Was this before me?
Are you in the min of BPC or not?
Well, I mean, if this happened the last couple of months, I might have been busy.
That was the last year. You're probably busy.
Yeah,
the last interview we had
we can give you a pass, hall pass on that one.
Yeah, we did. You can go check our archive. We did an interview with Ashish Gadnis. And he was saying, he revealed on our show that, they have more than one. He's CEO and founder, but he's not the only CEO. He's the outside CEO. He says, I can't be out and about and talking people and talk, but that's a whole different business model. It's like a co-CEO thing because his other CEO, he has 2 other founders.
Okay.
So they all each have their own zone. So you need somebody that's with the company and really crunching the numbers and looking at the data or whatever. So this is a person you don't see, but he has an equal title. These are new business structures. You got to do what works and fill in the gaps with works. Ashish is really out in the field, talking to people, doing the marketing.
So why was it a scam?
No, it's not a scam at all. But what I'm saying is when founders like you come before VCs, you're given the song that, well, we can't fund you because you're, they're like I say, reading from a script. You're deficient here. You're deficient here. You do exactly.
Competitor in space, no experience. What your team? We don't know your team. Just, I mean,
whereas if you say, well, this is good. Let me provide a support system for you. And they know they've done it with the white guys. They did it with my founders. I worked for the Glow.com. You can go watch National Geographic's Valley of the Boon. Yeah. One of the companies is the Globe.com. And when they first got their funding, they did a horrible pitch. And they kept saying, it's the internet. and one of their first investors laughed and on a handshake and was like, we're going to throw something at it. You guys, you don't know what you're doing, but they got millions of. When I was hired there, and it's so funny. This was 97, April of 97. I'm going to 31 West 21st Street between 5th and 6th. At that time, Puffy's restaurant will be below us, Justin's. It was nothing there. They were on the upper floors, and they were building out wires or whatever. I was teetering between writing secular journalism and writing about this World Wide Web thing. And I went there for an interview and was made an offer on the spot. They had health, they had dental. They were basically doubling my Peasley journalism salary, which wasn't much anyway. So I was like basically going to 40,000 from the 20-something. but like what I'm saying is they had all these things, and they're like, you're gonna have an exciting time. I literally went for the first interview and was made an offer that I said that I have to wait because I was actually going on another interview, and I was honest about I was going to a newspaper thing. But can I give you a word? But we want you to start on Monday. But let us know before the end of the week after you go to this next thing. But the lure and the carrot stick was that, you had two founders of a startup that hadn't graduated from Cornell with $6 million in investment from three different things for this social media thing. Social media wasn't even a term. It was online community.
I just needed $300,000, $6 million.
Exactly. So don't tell me that that VCs aren't giving money to people on based on ideas, and we'll figure it out as we go along.
Ideas and connections. Ideas and connections.
Deidre, this year, I was from everything I heard.
Drop the script, Black VCs.
This
Get money
year,
from Black people, and let's roll.
This year allegedly has had the most amount of venture capital in either history or last 30 or 40 years. Like the money's flying out the doors, and I see it. I subscribe to Jason Calacanis's Launch magazine. I see all these deals, if for nothing else, just to know who I can target to try to get them to fund me. But I mean, half these are napkins, just ideas, just out, off a drunk night at a party. I mean, it's just wild, and people are getting funded, but yet here we are. It's wild.
The reason I mentioned the address is because behind the scenes, and I'm not going to name them, there's somebody on the exact same street right now that's in the NFT space, and it's one of the most weakest deployments I've ever seen. But I said, oh, how ironic. Another startup that is bragging about its 3 VC investors doing a generic, we don't really know what we're doing in NFTs, and we're hiring, and we're offering benefits and dental. And I was like, how ironic. So nothing has changed but time.
Mm-hmm.
So we need the same treatment. Look, come to us and be like, look, fill in the gaps and let us roll. I always say, I want to live white boy free.
And if I'm ever in a position where I have enough resources to, that I can actually help other people along, what I would look for, having gone through this gauntlet, largely on my own, and nothing really to show for except for a lot of debt, is, give people money when they need it. Not, after they've done something. It's that's what I mean by some of the metrics that the VCs look at don't necessarily apply to crypto, because by the time you say, oh, what's your traction and how long you've been out, a week is like a month in crypto. Or a year. Things move so quickly. I can't tell you how many times we changed the model for what the components of what C3 eventually end up being, because 1, there's so many new good ideas coming out, and 2, there's so many ideas that we thought were good that are turning bad that we had to toss out. And instead of waiting till a company's done all the work for you, and then I can take it from here. And there is something to be said for growth stage, venture capital and things like that. But I'm talking about those people who say that they're early stage. Oh, we're early, or the earliest stage. We're the first. All that type of stuff. They always want to see what you've done for. No, sometimes you need money at the beginning. Sometimes you need a good idea. I had a borderline Hollywood career for about 9 years, right? Sometimes my writing partner and I would go on these go-sees, on these general meetings, right? You go over there. I think one time, what was it? We went to, I don't know if it was Reese. We went to somebody's, Jennifer Love Hewitt's, production company. Everyone had a production company. Go in there, you give them your 3 best ideas, whatever. They cotton to some, they cotton, to some others. Maybe they don't, whatever. But you go in there and you try to pitch them, right? So I'm no stranger to pitching, and it's one thing if they're like, okay, we want to hire you to do either your idea or some idea we had for you. There's another thing when they're like, oh, can you write this for us for free? And then if we sell it, then we'll pay. No, because you can't. You need money at the earliest point of your idea. You need to be funded when you have the idea, not and you have a direction going, not when you've already done all the work. It's nuts. I don't know. That's a big frustration point for me, because there is a gap between that, is definitely not addressed in our community, of where you have a good idea and you have direction, you even have competent leadership, but maybe you don't have the resources. Maybe you don't have that first check or whatever. And they always want to see what you've done first. They always want to see what's your traction look like. What's your customer, Facebook famously, and Facebook's evil, although we're on it right now. He didn't monetize it for ages. He wanted to wait until they had millions of people on board. They had no revenue model. Yet people kept throwing money at Zuckerberg because, for a lot of reasons, but because he basically had a good idea. We need to have that same type of ethos for our young creators, for our young as far as in like their journey creators who are just getting started, have a really good idea, who have a good plan, who need money to help execute it. Because that's something I almost never had on my journey, and it was really frustrating.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think about DAOs, distributed autonomous organizations, as a possible vehicle for now structuring for raising money?
Ooh. And honestly, I wish I knew more about it. I kind of got into them a few years ago. Deidre was kind of there when I kind of got, ooh, DAO, let's look into DAOs. Like, we thought we might do a DAO at a BPNC and stuff, right? And so, but ever since then, I'm a little fuzzy on exactly how they work, except that I know that there's no centralized, leadership per se. I think it can kind of get a little tricky when you're trying to, as a community, you always kind of need leadership of some sort. So I'm not exactly sure how it works with like who decides what. But if everything is like essentially voted on, it's an interesting idea. But running a startup for the last 5 years and being a solo founder, and not for lack of trying, not just a control freak, but being a solo founder, sometimes someone needs to just step up and be like, okay, we're going in this direction. Got a lot of good ideas. Sometimes you can lose time by chasing too many good ideas, and you just need to go in one direction, and leadership helps with that. So I can't say I'm not against it. I love the concept of, a decentralized autonomous organization where everyone has a say, but sometimes you just need someone to point the right direction.
Well, my thoughts on it, because I was listening to somebody who's really deep in it the other day, kind of breaking some things down. So I think for running a company, it's probably not the best vehicle, but it might be for raising funds, because it could be like an investment club where you get a bunch of people and say, let's go in it together, and we'll use this organization. And again, it's just piggybacking on the
Bob, I love it for that. If that's what people are doing with it, I love it for that.
Yeah, but you have the whale factor that you have to encounter. The first people to create DAO was Dash. Mm-hmm. Dash Coin is DAO. Even though every cryptocurrency is essentially a DAO, even Bitcoin is a DAO. This idea of miners and using their power, and then the first ones in able to aggregate a certain amount of coins because they've been in it the longest, and so since they've been in it the longest, then they have this kind of voice in terms of like, so Bitcoin Core is essentially a DAO. But the thing that Dash did differently, they have their master nodes and they have their miners, so those, because they lent their devices first and aggregated their coins. Now, once they have their coin, versus someone coming later. Now you can come to Dash later, and I guess throw down I don't know what is 100K or 140K or whatever now for a master node to have voting power, but you're not necessarily going to get as many master nodes, and then you have to upkeep and maintenance, of course, even more to keep it running, to have a voice. But this idea of the anti-whale factor, these people were creating these investment DAOs, which is what the direction they wanted. Well, some people in the group wanted me to go with BPC. But I was thinking, I was like, some of the directions we said from the very beginning, we wanted Black people in cryptocurrency to support Black founders and Black, getting more Black founders funded. We don't want to DAO. We don't want a DAO to cheerlead.
I feel very supported right now. Thank you.
Yes, we don't want a DAO to cheerlead what's coming out of the VC wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. And there's a large factor of people in our group that's all they do all day long is talk about, what the white boys are doing for the VC wheelhouse. So you want me to create a DAO so that people with more money can come in and now have a greater voice for me to say, hey, let's talk about NBA Top Shot. Well, NBA Top Shot, they did that thing independent of us. And any, professional basketball players or whoever they have tethered to it, that doesn't make any difference to us, to our ecosystem at all. So I don't want to be a part of creating something. It's got to be something else that brings people in. So that was the main reason why I couch the idea of the DAO, because first of all, I felt that people who was talking about it, they really didn't understand it. They didn't want to take into consideration the history of it and why Dash created it the way it was supposed to, to function the way it was supposed to function. So I was like, nah, I'm not letting you come in so that you can just add me to the continuing dialogue of Black consumerism, because that's the only way VCs look at us. Whether whoever's funding the things that are coming out, the tech properties, the crypto companies, even Snoop Dogg, let's brag about what he bought. What did you buy? What did you build? But yeah, with Tom Brady, what did they do? We had all these Black people coming and cheerleading and buy an NFT, and we got Black creators making NFTs. That's great on other people's platform, release on OpenSea and all this kind of stuff like that. They make all this great on consumerism. We are, but in terms of where are we in the mix of being the blockchain deployers, the platform builders, and stuff like that. That's the reason why we have John Wanana and others to try to come in. There's so few of us. We need to support that, because then we have more respect in the community. But for right now, they just look at us as what is our buying power? We got to stop bragging about our buying power and start bragging about what we're producing.
Oh, well, 100%. And real quick, so that actually brings up an interesting point, because there was a period of time when I was actively looking for a co-founder. I was told by so many VCs, oh, you need a co-founder. Can't do it by yourself. You need a co-founder. I'm an only child. I'm good by myself, but I know how to share. I'm fine. I went looking for a co-founder. I started out with Black people. Nothing but Black. I went to people I knew, didn't know. Everyone told me no for different reasons. But one of the reasons I feel like they were telling me no is that, especially those who had good jobs, say Microsoft, Amazon, whatever. I'm from Seattle, so those jobs, they're in good supply. And I understand that if you've got one of those good jobs, maybe you work at Google and you're comfortable and you're good and you're taking care of your family and stuff like that. Maybe you're the first one in your family to be able to reach back and help your family out. I understand that. Now, abstractly, my whole career has been a bit of a solo artist, writer, poker player. I'm not the gold watch guy. I'm not the guy who worked AT&T for 20 years, get a pension. I'm not. But I understand, my roommate freshman year, he's totally different. He's got the house, the kids, the long-term job at Chick-fil-A or Walmart, wherever he is at right now. So some people need that type of security to survive and thrive, and I respect that. I respect you corporate Negroes. I do. It's not me. But that's one of the reasons why I think that if not said or intimated, I just kind of felt it was part of the reason why they couldn't spare time out of their schedule to donate to my project, which may or may not succeed. I understand. I didn't take it as personally once I got my head around it than when I first started out, because I realized that maybe people, these guys are in high demand. Coding and those type of skills, technical skills, are in high demand. And that's why I feel really privileged to be working with the guys I have now. A very young, hustling duo out of Mumbai. They took a chance on me, and I appreciate it, because we don't always have the luxury of giving away our time. I've gotten to the point now where I'm always down to spread knowledge and connect with people, what have you. But if someone just wants to meet generally on the business thing, I'm like, well, what is it? Give me, let me know how it pertains to me directly, or how I can add value to your thing. I'm just not taking general meetings anymore. It's just kind of a waste of time. People's time is valuable. And so I think when it comes to Black people in corporate America, especially in tech, because there's so few of us, they just couldn't spare the time.
Yeah, they couldn't spare the time because you don't have the dime. If you had the dime, they would spare the time because you could pay them for their time.
A little bit of
And Deidre got the rhyme.
and with some people, some people I respected more in that than others. I'll admit, some people who would show up, have the meeting at least, and on times like that, I would respect. I get it. On some case, I get it. On some others, I definitely do not get it. But some case, I get it because these are good jobs, and we don't have the luxury of generational wealth. Previously, our kids after us, if we play our cards right now, kids, grandkids, whatever, if I ever have kids, which I don't, we will be setting them up for generational wealth if we play our cards right now. And that's all I really care about when it comes to crypto in the community. We have a once in a generation chance to create generational wealth.
Yeah, I think that one thing with all Black founders, they have the same thing. We've got to do something. We got to produce something for our next generation.
Yeah. And the window is open. This window is something that we have not seen because Deidre and I, we've been through all the full cycle of the internet. So starting out in the early days, and she told you about these two who ran the globe, and I remember doing a meeting with these guys. Remember, we were doing them at the Canadian consulate, and they were not the sharpest knives in the drawer by any means. They didn't hold a candle to a whole bunch of Black people we know, but they had access. And then we saw it time and time again. We see Mark Cuban, who sold broadcast.com to Yahoo and made him a billionaire, and Yahoo never made a dime on broadcast.com, and he's lauded as a tech genius. And he sold somebody a bag of shit.
Yeah, great timing. Yeah, great timing.
Great timing.
And great marketing.
Right. So the thing is that we're at another wave point where there's an opportunity for big hockey stick gains, but they've got to be based on kind of an understanding of the way the waves are going in this ocean. And I think that it's definitely a time for out of the box thinkers. This is not a time for thinking sequentially. You really got to think laterally and really have a kind of an understanding of what's going on. But if you're willing to think out of the box, then there's an opportunity for exponential gains, but you still got to work it. The problem that we as a people have had is that sometimes we're so thirsty that we want the money like in 15 minutes.
Or any way you can get it. I mean, and one of you said, and it's really, it's really touched me too, is that, I think it was you, Bob, how I went about this so ethically. I mean, it's not something I think about every day per se. I mean, I think I was raised right, shout out Claudette Jackson, but the draft mom, as we call her. But I mean, there are so many ways to cut corners and do, the ethically shady thing or dubious thing in crypto, and no one will even know because it's very pseudonymous to anonymous in crypto that you can do the unethical thing to get ahead. And one thing I've been kind of stalwart with, and this is not like me, I mean, I don't get just a cookie for doing, basic stuff. But I mean, one thing I've been very adamant with my team is at any point where we could kind of, take the ethically less challenged, the ethically more challenged way. I'm like, let's just not do that. We don't have to do. I mean, it may get us there faster, but will we feel good about it, or who will we hurt on the way? So I think what you're saying with we see the waves, we see the hockey stick growth, whatever, but if you're guided by a sense of general ethics, I mean, you need that to really be good with yourself and the growth of the community at large in general. I remember seeing someone say in group a while ago, and I clowned him in the thing. I'll clown him again. I don't care. But he said something about like, who cares if that's a scam? I got mine, money is money. And then I think I came back with something like, oh, okay, well, Cardano's backed by a white supremacist, and you may want to point out that. How you like your money then? Do you care? If Trump, I think I said something like, if Trump came with a coin that was like 100x, would you buy Trump coin?
They said yes.
I don't have time for people like that. I'm sorry. I mean, there are enough cryptocurrencies out there and opportunities in blockchain cryptocurrency. You don't need to cut corners on ethics. You don't.
It's like, I think the last time I was on CoinMarketCap and CoinMarketCap doesn't even have all cryptos listed, but they're a good judge of, the growth. There's like 12,000 cryptos now with about 400 exchanges. And mind you, you know, it's not even counting, you know, Dash Forex, it's not counting Monero, Kryptonite type coins, and you know whoever else is out there. But it's a good gauge and good growth, because when I first started looking at CoinMarketCap, I think it was something like 400 cryptos in 2016 or something like that. 400, 500 cryptos. I don't know. I didn't look at the exchange number, but you know that's not that long ago. And then you just, every time I make a speech and I talk about, you know, how many cryptos there are, I remind myself to go look, and like CoinMarketCap is going up by another another thousand. Now, granted, everything that's made in there is not for everybody, you know, different utilities, but it just shows you that people have a lot of different ideas, a lot of different directions of where they want to go. There's a lot of garbage out there, but it's also like, you know, mining for gold. If you know how to, you know, what your values are, you know, if your values in gaming and stuff like that, you're going to be looking at CinemaDraft, you're going to be looking at Axie Infinity, you're going to be looking at those that pay to earn, and then the stuff that's real, not the stuff that's like highly marketed. Okay, what are the tokenomics? What are they saying? How are they saying? Like some of the people question here, how what does this mean for a long-term player? What does it mean in terms of earning? Looking at it as a business type thing. My job is gaming, and my job is not necessarily to buy and hold a coin and cheerlead the coin, and we don't know what it's going to do. It's the company itself should be specifying some type of plans and hitting some type of roadmarks, which is why at ABOB I picked the ones that I picked, because from what I can see from the outside was that Clever has a roadmap and is meeting certain things on the roadmap. Is everything perfect? No, everything is perfect. They had some problems with their game deployment, but they have a game, you know, in the works. Theta also was, you know, still struggling with its broadcasting platform and things like that, but they had something. It had content. It had content creators. They had a plan. It wasn't just like, you know, the brand is out there and the whole Dogecoin knockoffs, you know, just get it and cheerlead it, and it's going to be, and then straight up lies. It's going to be at Walmart next week. It's going to be Walmart. Look, you know, Walmart is Amazon. If Walmart ever does come out with a crypto, it'll be Walmart.
Yeah.
That's it. They ain't going to be using your SHIB, your Doge, your whatever. They're not using that. They ain't going to fork it. They're gonna be like, look, we got a coin now, and this is what it is. And
you know, there's another aspect to the integrity thing, which is the basic fundamentals. It does not matter what industry you're in. The scams are also always based on playing off of people's greed. So you could talk about stocks. You could talk about, you mentioned gold mining. A lot of money people not only lose their money, people lose their lives chasing gold mining, you know, and there are all types of scams. People are, you know, stocks, penny stocks, you know, that's why a lot of these crypto scams are just repurposed old scams. They just use the playbook from some other industry, and it always works because there's always somebody thirsty enough to say, hey, you want to make 10x, 100x for basically nothing? You know, there's no fundamental reason why you should make it, but they dangle it in front of you and say, look, somebody else just did it. Bernie Madoff, look how he took everybody he knew. He took his whole social circle down with him because it gave people something that was too good to be true and gave it to people who should know the difference. And it took them years to figure him out. So this game moves so much quicker, but there's nothing different about it. Somebody's going to dangle something in front of you and tell you, hey, you can throw in your $100 and it's going to be worth 100,000. And because Bitcoin did do a kind of runoff, it created an on-ramp for all this other crap to come in.
Every bull run, you see an influx of cryptocurrency and scammers and everything. Yeah, without fail. Every time.
So, I mean, I like that, you know, it's like, let's put a little bit more patience in this thing and understand, yes, it's a big C chain. And if you haven't made it in the first 15 minutes, stops, you know, there's nothing wrong with you, you know. Wait a month, wait 6 months, wait a year, put the time in, figure out what you're doing, figure out how to position yourself. And more importantly, use the creative ideas. If you can solve a problem, you can become a billionaire quickly. But solve a problem. Don't come up with something that just has bells and whistles. It's just like a, you know, blinking lights, but it doesn't do anything. And that's what a lot of these coins are.
something. Be useful, have utility, solve a problem or provide a service, but something that people actually can use.
Yeah, I mean the utility of Doggy Coin when it came out was it was a joke. It made people laugh, and then they figured out, hey, people are taking it seriously. Let's run with it, But where is it going to end up?
They still don't really have any plan. It's just still a pump and dump and a pump and dump and such and such company is going to use it in the future. Look, just look at people who have roadmaps and support those type of projects.
Roadmaps, white paper. What do you say? What are the 3 things you look for, Deidre?
Oh, I don't even remember. What are the 3 things I look for? It's so fluid now because
I'll set you up. I can say it. I can say price product plan. Come on, now.
Price product plan, but it used to be like more detailed than that.
No, I was looking for the slogan.
Oh my God, price
hey,
product.
We got to keep it simple for people.
Eduardo
too much.
Some things that I say on the fly that I'm like, oh yeah, what did I say?
Hey, we got a whole Deidre quote book right here. Hold on.
I learn from you every day. And again, Talisha, I love what Talisha just put in chat. Don't cuff, commit to your crypto of choice. I mean, if there's, I like it because if anyone, they're not your family. It's a token, it's a coin, it's whatever. If the leadership goes bad or something goes bad, get out. I stayed on Substratum way too long. Remember Substratum? You don't remember Substratum?
Yeah, I do.
They had a great idea in my head. They were going to make an internet that was so decentralized that you could be in China and get past the Great Firewall. You could just be, you could be the internet as a VPN by default. I love that idea. I read up all their stuff. I bought up their little token. I saw it go up to 60 cents. I don't even think it's listed anywhere right now. That sucker's gone. And I'm not saying you need to ride something all the way down to zero like I did, but don't be indoctrinated. If there's something about your a token or a coin that you're in that you don't like, or they change in values or direction of their project, get out. Get out. Mm-hmm. Don't cuff.
And it's important to remember, never invest more than you're willing to lose in its entirety.
Yeah.
You've been saying that since forever. Just don't get too excited. You be like, you still gotta pay your bills.
Yeah.
Well, there's a thin line between investing and gambling. There always has been.
Yes.
And people got to figure out where that line is for themselves. If you're just going all in, and again, a lot of it is risk tolerance. And I'm speaking Eduardo's language because as a former poker player, he has a higher risk tolerance, but he knows what the risks are. He knows what the numbers are behind what he's doing. And if he's doing it right, he's not going to win every time, but he should win more than he loses. And if he's not, then he's not really good at what he's doing. And that's the same thing with crypto investing. Or any type of investing, you got to develop your strategy. And if you don't have a strategy yet, take the time to learn it. There's a lot of information out there, but you got to filter out the nonsense, take out the noise. Absolutely. And that's why we got Deidre. She's our noise canceling headphones. Beats by D, noise canceling headphones.
I'm the professor. I'm always the teacher. I'm like, where's the scam in that? The critic, the gadfly. Somebody's got to do it.
Look, we may not have picked every winner.
If you can get me to say, oh, okay, then you might got me.
I think if you go back through the BPC archives, we might not have picked every winner, but we sure enough picked pretty much all the losers.
Exactly. It's like, no, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. But it's like panning for gold.
Right.
Panning, and those who take the heat and take the questions and don't get offended and have an answer and or something. It's very fascinating to hear. If you see some of the other AMAs and you hear some of the people that aren't being marketed, aren't being pitched. I'm talking about just the white guys too. It's very interesting to hear, some of the nice juicy projects and things that are going on. Oh, thank you, Talisha. Thank you so much.
All right, so it's time for us to do some wrap up, and in the wrapping up, we got to remind people the reason why we're talking about. We've got this initial CD3D offering. It's coming on October 7th. It's literally like right up there, right in front of you.
A week from today.
A week from today. Yes. Starting in Greenwich Mean Time.
We have a countdown clock on the site. If you go to cd3d.app, right there on the bottom third is the days, the hours, the minutes, and the seconds till the sucker goes live.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look.
cd3d.app. And actually, in this thing, it's a work in progress, but it looks beautiful. My girl, Paula Kathuria. She might be the best hire I may ever make. Paula Kathuria, India's finest designer. Just, I mean, a beautiful site. This looks so good. Not everything works yet because we're still developing behind the scenes, but the homepage, it's pretty litty. I enjoy it. It's great.
There's the countdown clock. 6 days, 8 hours, 45 minutes, and 49, 48, 47.
Get that
the
FOMO.
Excitement is building.
Bid high.
Yeah.
CD3D, you better bid high. Don't be cheap.
October 7th is going to be a busy day because not only is Eduardo going to be up at 5-something in the morning trying to put in his own bid, but later on that same day, he's going to be a crypto for the culture conference, which is also October the 7th.
Now, the also thing I got to say, now, if you've been here this long and you haven't signed up to get some of this free CD 3D that's available right now for you, just to go to that form. That link is there. That link is also in the comments. So go hit that link, put your information in, and you may win some tonight. Well, you won't get it tonight because nothing will be nothing is going to be released until October 7th, 2021. It's going down.
Yes, October 11th is our distribution date. If you're in our Telegram at all, the third most asked question today was when distribution. First one was contract. We finally got that taken care of, deployed. All right, y'all, stop asking about the contracts out there. And then also they ask about when distribution of our airdrop tokens. October 11th is when we're putting out all the promotional tokens. So sit tight. We got y'all. We got your address. We'll get you your tokens.
All right, I think we should wrap this up. We only went an hour and 15 minutes longer than we planned to, but we got a lot of good information out there. We appreciate it.
You planned to. I was ready for the long haul.
Yeah, we know. Look, hey man, I'm
hydrating. I'm hydrating. Dave.
You're in pre-launch mode. Yeah, you're ready to go 24/7.
Pretty much.
So, thanks to everybody who just kind of stayed along with this. Please share this the link on social media, Facebook and YouTube. Take the YouTube link, put it on Twitter and every other social media platform you're on, and let's help this thing do something. I think it's an exciting project. We want to see where it goes, and let's get it on the ground floor. FOMO.
Yeah, I appreciate you all.
FOMO, baby.
Thanks, Deidre, for having me and the question and everything. I'm very proud, and like I said, I was surprised. I did not even apply or whatever for ABOB, so I really appreciate you just kind of reaching in and plucking me. I was too busy in the weeds doing my other stuff, but I really appreciate you guys.
I was been waiting for years. I was like, oh, we have top 4, whatever you're gonna announce you're gonna launch.
We finally got our act together, man. Let me tell you, at no small price too. So I'm just very excited about all this. You will be seeing. We have content multiple times a day, every day on all our social media. So follow us, like us, subscribe. Just be on the lookout. We will have more opportunities to win free CD3D. So get in the Telegram, get on our social media. Break the board. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Peace out.